SHRMSK.com. Special thanks to the Regina Pats for serving the chili that night.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar. 35 years of experience moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit KELLNsolar.com to find out more for your livestock operation. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Back in the saddle. Made it back. It's Monday. It's the Sportscage. Welcome, everybody. It's Curtis, the Sheriff, Alan. Chris Mazurek is going to join, do a little co-hosting thing, probably about 3:30. And, yeah, it's exciting to be back. What do we have for you today? I'm going to talk, because if you follow the show, or if you listen to the show for the last, I don't know, almost year, there's more than sports to talk about in a sports radio show. Got to talk about life. Got to equate it to life. I know there's a lot of parents out there. Maybe parents that have taken their kids to Disney World and Disneyland. That's where I was last week. And I got to tell you, I learned some stuff. I really, really, really learned some stuff. I'm going to pass on one of the probably best hacks when it comes to Disney. It's all kudos and thanks to my wife. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to make it. I don't know if I'd be here with you on this Monday if I would have had to do it the other way, the old school way. If you've ever done that with kids and gone and grinded and sat in lines for an hour, 2 hours, you're a better man or woman than I. So we'll talk about that. Also some traveling stories. Isn't it always funny when you go traveling and you see people and you're like, if I ever do that, call me out on that, please. What are you thinking? We've taught, like, who gets up on an airplane and jumps 2 rows of ahead to try and get off the plane faster? That's just one of them. There's also a luggage one. I know Maz is going to want to chime in on that. Sports-wise, it's February. Free agency is kind of come and gone in the CFL. But I want to talk to Justin Dunk about the story that he had on 3 Down Nation when it comes to the Riders and how much cabbage, lettuce, haroshi they're throwing out, allegedly, to some of these free agents. I think there's some good values there. Mind you, I've never ran a CFL team, so I don't know for sure, but I think there's some good value. We'll talk to Justin Dunk about that in moments as we're going to kick off the show with that. Hockey recap from the weekend, busy weekend. We go down SJHL, WHL, AAA midget, AAA female, Junior B, and senior hockey is extremely busy. As you heard on Friday, some of the provincial games this weekend, there's one tonight. If you're in the Kenaston area, you might want to get there early. So we'll talk the whole hockey recap as well. Curling. Rachel Homan. We'll get to this more when Maz comes on, but I don't know. Is she the GOAT? Curtis likes using that word a lot. Is she the GOAT when it comes to curling? I don't know. Like, I really like watching curling at the competitive level, especially when it's live. Like when the Briar was here last year, like how much fun was that? But Rachel Holman has won, what is it now? 22 straight wins at the Scotties. So we'll talk curling. Hour 2, Eric Francis is traveling today as the Calgary Flames get set for a very busy road trip, probably the pivotal part of their season coming up. So instead of Eric Francis, who's traveling, I say to myself, who haven't we talked to in a while that's just a fan or the fans love? And it's Les Lazaruk from Saskatoon, voice of the Saskatoon Blades, a guy that likes to just talk about anything when it comes to sports in general. He's got his finger on the pulse. So Les Lazaruk will start hour 2 with us. We got the clutch performer. And then hour 3, Darian Durant. Doubles is hopping on. He's in Florida. I can't wait to talk to him about some of the just Florida things that I learned while I was there. One thing I did figure out, I'm more of a Arizona, West Coast, Nevada, anywhere. I'm more of that guy than Florida guy. I couldn't imagine going there when it's really humid. Volatile weather. I get it. Like some people like Cancun more than PV. No, I'm West. I'm West Coast guy, like Tupac. Right, Curtis? West Side. So we got a busy show. Lots of fun. Thanks for tuning in. You can always have your say. Go ahead. Chirp me if you want on the Prairie Land Rentals text line, 936-6262. Prairie Land Rentals since 1986. For big or small jobs, stop in, deal with the owner. 600 Albert Street in Regina. Snowblowers. You want to rent? I might be crazy, but this is the time where you got to start now getting rid of snow. You got to move the snow from beside your driveway. You got to move it somewhere else. Don't be onto the street to cause rut, guy or girl. Don't do that. No one likes that person in the neighborhood. Prairie Land Rentals text line 936-6262. And thank you to everyone who sent me messages on the socials and all that last week, asking how the trip was and all that. Just random Sportscage listeners. So we got a busy show. It's fun. It's good to be back. Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Always a great night for Western Pizza. Picked one up when we got back off the airplane. The pickup special. All the locations have a pickup special. Then all the Greek favorites you love. Western Pizza. Justin Dunk, our pre- and post-game guy here on the Rough Rider broadcast, also from 3 Down Nation. Dunk, it's kind of this February time of the year. Now, with 3 Down, for sure you guys are busy around the clock. You guys, 12 months of the year, finger on the pulse, all that. But am I safe to say, like, the next few weeks here is kind of the chance to breathe time for everyone in the city? Not a lot going on maybe before the combine?
Depends how you look at it, but front offices are busy preparing for, as you mentioned, the CFL Combine that's going to be in Regina in late March, doing that work and always updating the neg list. But, is a time where it's probably not as busy for them. That said, there's a lot of scheduling going on for training camp and still filling out the roster in terms of Americans, potentially Canadians that you want to bring to Saskatoon as well if you're the Rough Riders.
Are there... Like I remember in the past, the Riders would go down and they would have these mini camps in Florida and they're down in the southern United States and different, just kind of getting some eyeballs on guys that might have fallen through the cracks or whatever. Does that still go on? Are there mini camps that GMs and scouts would be going to take in?
Yeah, it's more workouts, I would say, instead of like the Chris Jones tour back in the day.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why the football operations cap is in. But overall, I would say, it's more organized workouts of pinpointing guys that you want to see that are either on your neg list or that you've seen that you can't fit on your neg list, and you'd like to get a close-up look about these guys to decide whether you want to bring them to training camp and sign them to a contract.
What do you make of the Trevor Harris interview last week? I know you guys, we had it here on the Cage, and then you guys have it on 3 Down Nation, where he just talked about they're ahead of the curve. And I think that's what everybody feels and everyone thinks going into this year.
Definitely. Continuity, he said, is the word of 2025 for him and probably fairly for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. We at 3downnation.com have the Riders ranked as the number 1 team in the Canadian Football League, coming off what Jeremy O'Day in the front office and Corey Mace were able to do in free agency. And I think rightfully so, and we've seen it so often, across all sports, Barney, well, that if you have continuity, you give yourself a really good chance to win and at least compete for a championship, in this instance being the Grey Cup. And I think rightfully so that the Riders are viewed, by people around the league that I talk to, rival personnel people, rival coaches, even some rival players, that they view the Riders as the favorite, at least on paper, to win the West Division. Now, you got to go out and do it. I'm just relaying what I'm told.
Yeah.
I do think the talent matches up with it as well.
There's nothing worse than having that on paper. No, don't. We don't want to be that on paper team. Just want to go out and grind. I don't know about you, and get your take on the signings on the offensive line. Is that a direct result of what happened last year and the unfortunate circumstances that they were put in, just bringing in experienced offensive linemen, especially Canadians?
I really thought that the offensive line, aside from the injuries, played to a high level. And I think that's what you're getting at here, is perhaps looking at more durable players like a Sean McEwen when you make that switch at center with Peter Godber. But, Godber really only had the injury that was lower body. I think it was his ankle or knee on Labor Day. That's why he missed 6 games at the end of the season there and then came back for the playoffs. So I don't necessarily think it has to do with upgrading the offensive line. That said, I do think the Rough Riders offensive line over the last couple of years has gotten much deeper on the American side and the Canadian side. For example, a guy like Philippe Gagnon, they signed for under $100,000 in hard money. He can be a starter. Like, he started games for the Alouettes last season. He's a Grey Cup champion coming over from Montreal. So to have that caliber of a Canadian as your probable backup or 6 offensive linemen on the roster just shows what Jeremy O'Day and the front office have done in the last couple of years to remake the offensive line.
What did you think about the comments that O'Day had? Again, it was in his press conference a couple of weeks ago where they got everybody that they wanted, that they put an offer in front of. Like, they got them back. Like, I think that was a poignant piece, right? For people to know that the plan and what they see as the plan, they're the professionals, it worked.
For the most part, I would agree. I think that rings true. 9 All-Stars last year, either West Division or All CFL. The Riders bring all 9 of those players back. Now, just to add a little bit of context to that, Jeremy O'Day's never going to go into it, but they did check in on some other players, right? Like Gino Lewis told you guys on the Sportscage. I know they checked in on Deontay Spencer at least, but I think what he's talking about is like the guys that they really wanted. They got, but they didn't have to break the bank for. And I think that's where Jeremy O'Day and his staff, Kyle Carson, the assistant general manager, did a great job with fitting pieces in that they believe can come into that culture that Corey Mace has set after 1 year and help take them to another level.
Really, I was really interested on your piece on 3 Down on how much the Riders have paid. From what you found out, some of these free agents, and you talked about Gagnon being, $92,000 in hard money. When you look at everyone that you have here, where are they all great value pieces? Is there one that stands out? Is there the Gagnon that you feel is like just unbelievable value?
I think there's a lot of fair value there for sure. And the one that stands out to me the most because of the price difference is Mike Rowe. So he was due to make around $200,000 with the Calgary Stampeders before he was released, which left a lot of people around the league scratching their head due to the relationship he has with Corey Mace, in part, comes over to the Riders, and he's going to make $175,000 in hard money. So you're getting value there, I think, because Rose believes that the Riders are on the come up and can compete for a Grey Cup. But, I look at the majority of the deals that were in that piece that you can find, as you mentioned at 3downnation.com, how much the Riders paid their top 2025 free agent signings, that there's a lot of quality value here. And I would say for sure that Jeremy O'Day and the front office did not overpay for any of the players that they brought in.
The one that I was, and I'm glad you had it there, because the one that I was really wondering, and again, I don't have my finger on the pulse near as much as you guys or anyone like that, but what would Campbell sign? What would Tavon Campbell sign for? and then you got that it's in around that 153. Now, as a former NFL guy, a guy that keeps himself in amazing shape, and a Canadian, is that good value? Is that fair value, like you said?
I think it's great value. It makes sense for both sides in terms of how the signing came together. And I'll give you this comparison, Barney, as to why I say it's great value. Tyrell Ford, CFL All-Star Canadian defensive back who played on the field side with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, signed for $230,000 in hard money with the Edmonton Elks. So compare that. Campbell, yes, coming back from the NFL where he hasn't necessarily played games recently, but could have that kind of potential with the Riders. And if you're looking at just purely the salaries here, because the Riders don't divulge much in terms of the depth chart, the salaries would tell you, or at least lead us to believe, I should say, that Campbell would be the favorite to start at the boundary corner spot because Marcus Sayles on his new deal is in and around $130,000. Not to say Sayles can't play on the boundary side and maybe Mace has something else up his sleeve in terms of what he's going to do there. But when you're paying Campbell, as you said, around $150,000, he can earn over $5,000 in play time, plus some extra All-Star and award incentives in there. That would lead me to believe that he's a favorite to start at that boundary weak side spot that is ultra rare to see a Canadian there.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you about, because when I read the article, and it was probably after 78,000 steps at Disney World one night, was you don't talk about marketing money. Is that something that's totally separate? Is that something we don't know about, not divulge? It comes down later. Where does the marketing money fit in?
It's in there, and for the majority of guys, I just added it to the hard money because that's how people are viewing it around the league now. So, the majority of these guys, if not all of them, would have at least a little bit of marketing money to, a decent amount. Okay.
So you talked about our interview with Gino Lewis, and we haven't talked since that. What was your take on that and him being so candid with us?
I thought it was a great get, and I feel like it's fair for Gino Lewis to share his side after Ed Hervey had a rant or whatever you want to call it from the CFL winter meetings about the receiver position. And it's understandable from Lewis's perspective that you would think there would at least be a courtesy call there, that Ed Hervey might pick up the phone and say, hey, we're not going to pay you $320,000 this year. We appreciate what you've done for the Edmonton Elks. And I would add to that Hervey's talking about how the franchise wants to operate. So if you have a guy who's the highest paid non-quarterback in the league, you might want to treat him with a little bit of respect. And Ed Hervey did talk about, starting out a potential relationship with Eugene Lewis as part of that rant as well, that he didn't just want to go to him and offer him a massive pay cut either. Well, it turns out he didn't go to him at all. So perhaps we'll find out more the next time Ed Hervey speaks, which, could be at the Combine in Regina, if not before then, as to his side of the story. But I felt like Gino Lewis's comments were warranted and people could understand how he was feeling that way. It's clear that he's moved on, though, to what he's going to do with the Ottawa Redlegs.
Yeah, I just, he seems like a straight shooter, right? And an open book. There's nothing better. Nothing better either way for me is someone that's, going to just tell it like it is and what he feels. Now, is there anyone in your mind, again, a guy that is got his finger on the pulse, anyone that hasn't signed yet that surprises you, maybe?
There's nobody that surprises me because I felt like this free agent class had some depth. I think there's so much quality talent in the league that there was going to be some guys kind of that didn't sign or that are looking for a spot, let's say, just even get into a training camp. There's a few guys I'll list off. Probably top of the list would be Isaiah Cage, who has 24 starts at left tackle in the last 2 seasons for the Toronto Argonauts. That's been a position around the league that's been hard to fill, but I think the front offices around the league have found some new blood there. Look no further than the Saskatchewan Roughriders unearthing Trevor Reed, who's now going to get an NFL shot. So he'd probably be number one. Number 2 for me would be Deontay Spencer, who has interest in coming back to the CFL. But on the other side of that is there's no rush. I know the Saskatchewan Roughriders checked in with him. He has a relationship going back to Trevor Harris's Ottawa days with the current gunslinger for the Red Blacks. He had a 1,000-yard season with Trevor Harris, as well as being a dynamite returner. But, I got the sense that the Riders didn't want to break the bank there and ultimately brought back Mario Alford, who, some people were crying about. But this guy's like a franchise record holder in multiple categories in the return game. And the Riders, you want to talk about bargains, Barney, got him for less than $100,000 to come back. So I think those would be my top 2 guys that I'm surprised for sure that Cage is still out there. Spencer, not so much, because he feels like he could potentially still have an NFL shot.
Isn't it the way I feel about it when you got a returner and, with their specialty, and I saw the people, chirping it as well. It's almost like they just don't understand the game. A lot of those people. It's like what this guy's capable of. And when you got punters that can punt it, into the back of a half ton, keeping it away from a guy, well, you're not going to get the returns, right, JD?
Yeah, and I mean, he still rips them off, right, as recently as last year. And I think you got to look at like the roster construction when you kind of get into the nitty gritty, that the value to Deontay Spencer is that he can be your primary return man, depending how you manage him. And he's a legitimate 1,000-yard receiver. Like, he's done that in the CFL. Whereas Mario Alford is going to be a designated American as a returner. He might be able, as we've seen them use a little bit, to have some package plays on offense. So that's where, when you're talking about roster construction in the CFL, that you can't just say, oh, well, why did they bring Mario Alford back? Well, I'd say actually he's still pretty darn good as a returner, and he's a great value at the contract that they got him for, and he fits the current construction of the roster that Jeremy O'Day, Corey Mace, and the Riders are putting together.
Okay, the last one comes from left field. And I don't know, have you heard anything? Is there a chance, Dumb and Dumber style, what is up with Chase Claypool?
That's a great question. I actually recently checked in on that, and at least according to one source, he is apparently still on the Rough Riders negotiation list. And I think that's smart from Saskatchewan's perspective, because Claypool's out there. The NFL is going into their free agency process, which I believe the full market opens on March 12th. That, I would keep him there for a long shot. I think it's worth it for the potential upside. If you can get him in the building there and have him focus on football, that he'd be dynamite. That said, he's made millions in the National Football League. So would he actually come up here? That's the first question that you would have to answer. But usually with these types of names being on the neg list, there has been some communication in this instance with Claypool's camp. I'm not saying there has right now, but usually there is. But there's other times where there hasn't been any until it comes to that point where it might be time for that player to potentially consider coming to the Canadian Football League.
He's only 26. Mace is 39. I was hoping maybe Port Moody, Abbotsford, there was some sort of close tie there, 50 minutes apart. But yeah, no, I'm kind of the one guy that keeps holding out the, hey, I wonder what he's up to, what he's going to do.
And the Riders would have money for that with the increased salary cap too, right? If they really wanted to go out and spend on a guy like a Chase Claypool, if they believed he could be a difference maker, that's something that I think they could do.
I love it. You always give us insight that we can't get anywhere else, and just that insider knowledge. Appreciate you doing this, and yeah, I guess we wait for the combine and the, it's February. Can it just be May? Like it's not minus 50. It's not minus 50 here today. It's like plus 3. So we kind of got something right. But Justin, always appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you having me on.
Right on. Justin Dunk, 3 Down Nation, and our pre- and post-game guy on the Rough Rider broadcast right around the corner. Some really Really good insight there on some of it. If you didn't see that piece where they talked about what some of the Rough Rider free agents have signed for in 3 Down Nation, I thought there's some great value there. Again, what the heck do I know? I've never ran a CFL team. And if you have, and you're listening to the program, 936-6262. Only if you've run a CFL team and you can give me some insight on the value of these players. Only if you ran a CFL team. Okay? It could even be one of the American teams from back in the day. It's time for a break. It is the Sports Cage. We are streaming on Twitter, sportscage.com, and we're on the mighty 620 CKRM.
From the Sask Today newsroom, here's what's making news in Saskatchewan.
He says he can do the job if asked. Sportscage football analyst Glenn Suter says he'd be willing to step in as the new commissioner of the CFL.
Sask Today's team of local journalists are on the ground focusing on local topics that matter to you. Sign up for our daily news digest, making the news even easier to access. SaskToday.ca. Everybody has a story. From Harvard Media, everywhere.
Who's really on Saskatchewan's side? The Liberals? They imposed a carbon tax, clawed back our healthcare transfers, and canceled pipelines. The NDP? Jagmeet Singh always took Trudeau's side, keeping him in power so he could get his pension. Your Conservative MPs fight the carbon tax, support Saskatchewan's energy workers, and defend our health payments. Only Conservatives are always on Saskatchewan's side. This message brought to you by Andrew Scheer, MP for Regina Quappel.
Something all drivers have in common? Your vehicle should have a winter inspection. Landry's Napa Auto Pro specializes in full-service inspections. With certified mechanics on site, they handle everything from minor repairs to major overhauls. When you take your vehicle to Landry's service, your car is in the right hands. And quality Napa batteries always have the best prices. Landry's Napa Auto Pro, located on North Winnipeg Street, serving Regina for over 50 years.
The love of the game is in the air at the Brandt Center with the chance to catch your Regina Pats at special events all month long. Experience cultural pride at the George Gordon Development Indigenous Celebration on February 7th. Grab the last of 6 collectible cups at Wednesday giveaway night on the 19th. Get your new Pats hockey cards at First Responders Awareness Night on February 22nd and pink the rink to stand up to bullying to end the month on February 28th.
Go, Pats, go!
See the full promotional lineup and get your tickets at reginapats.com.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Connect with the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262.
Welcome back. It is for Kellen Solar in Lumsden, Saskatchewan. 35 years experience moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit kellensolar.com to find out more for your livestock operation. It's +1 right now in Regina, Saskatchewan. It says it feels like -3, and we're going down to a low this evening of -6. Is that right? I'm just getting everything situated here. You know, it's like when you go on holidays. Someone's like sleeping in my bed here. Sharky was in, moved things around, unplugged things, new things plugged in. This weather, though, the 14-day, tomorrow +1, Wednesday +1, Thursday +3, Friday +2. Oh, soupy. If you know a guy that's selling galoshes, send him my way. Big galosh guy. I told you he's going to be co-hosting with me today on this Monday, Chris Mazurek, who did a fantastic job last week of holding down the fort. Can we say that? Manning the ship. What else can we go with? You did a great job, though. 4 days.
Oh, thanks. With a couple with the double C's in freezing cold weather. It was like -50 with the wind chill. Mm-hmm. And then we had the Sheriff, Big Al, and Curtis. So it was a real mixed bag of, it was a team effort. Anybody and everybody coming in early, staying late. We got it done. You're back. They let you through customs. You're all good.
Okay, let's run down first off the weekend in local sports.
Mm-hmm.
not so much local, but Scotty's Tournament of Hearts. Rachel Homan. Back-to-back Scotty's, Maz.
Killer.
5th Tournament of Hearts.
Undefeated.
5th. So she's still one shy. And I was like, how many did Colleen Jones? It was Colleen Jones, Jennifer Jones, and then Jill Officer has also got 6 of them. So she's one back. The late great Sandra Schmerler had 3. She would have, who knows how many she would have ran. But Rachel Homan, she the best? You know how old? Guess how old she is. Maybe you know this.
Early 30s, but here's the thing. 3 kids. 3 young kids.
Yeah.
Could you imagine trying to do this? I was saying yesterday when we were watching the final, in curling, if you were trying to do this, and you never know when it's going to happen, but if this is your livelihood and you want to have children, you kind of have to time it out so you're not, having kids when the Scotties is on, because it kind of messes with things. So I think early 30s, but 3
35.
kids and a young mom. Wow.
35. And what's her husband's name? Do I got it up here? Because he's kudos to this guy. I know Clutch Performer comes up later in the show for Nick's service, but whoever Rachel Homan's husband is, with 3 young kids, I don't know, maybe they got a couple nannies, but he's doing a lot of heavy lifting. And then that's tough for the team, third Tracy Fleury, Emma Miskew, Sarah Wilkes. If they're married and their husbands, it's like, well, Rachel's husband took the kids for the full week. You know that one. Damn you.
Yeah, when you're getting compared, when the dirtbag comparison of how bad of a father you're being, when other examples are being tossed around.
Yeah. Well, he's able to pick them up, drive them. Dude. Yeah, like that's heavy lifting. That is heavy lifting. Mr. Rachel Homan does. SJHL report comes up on Tuesdays for Southie Mainline Chrysler, the new king of trucks in Southie, Saskatchewan. Worth the drive every time. Melville. The Melville Millionaires are on a Flin Flon-esque heater.
Mm-hmm.
9-0-0-1 in their last 10. Good job, Curtis. If you're watching the stream, but they're still only sitting with 57 points. So there's their streak right there. Sorry, 9-0 in their last 9 games.
9-0.
They've lost 1 in the last 10. But they're still sitting 57 points. We have Benny on tomorrow. I don't know exactly how it shakes down. If Yorkton and Melville do end up playing in that first round playoff series, like, let's take the cage. Let's take the cage to the highway. Is it Highway 10? You drive it, Curtis, don't you? It's that road. But yeah, SJHL. So Melville's on a heater. Yorkton, they lost 2 on the weekend. And of all teams, the Nipawin Hawks are playing really good hockey for a team that won't make the playoffs right now. They're grinding. They're finding out a lot about their youngsters. 3 wins on the weekend. They beat Weyburn. They beat Estevan. They beat Notre Dame. So again, SJHL report coming up tomorrow with Benny Walchuk. The Extreme Hockey Western Hockey League report. Spring hockey around the corner. Also baseball. They're big into baseball. Baseball team kits at Umbrella Marketing. Anything you need. Extreme Hockey. They're also dabbling in lacrosse this year. The Pats beat Swift Current 4-1 Friday. I'm in Orlando, coming back, and I'm like, hey, Pats, good win, 4-1. Then they lose 3-0 to PA at home Saturday. It's tough. The Pats have Medicine Hat. They got the week off. It's probably a lot of team building. What was that? They're handing out chili or something? Is that this week? We played a commercial.
Yeah, I heard that
earlier.
Yeah, I heard that there's a bunch of people doing a chili cook-off, but the Pats are handing out the chili.
Doesn't that make you want chili? Do you like chili? I love chili when I hear chili. I pick the beans
Debatable.
out, though. I'm such an 8-year-old.
Well,
I sit and pick the beans out.
Up until probably 5 years ago, I couldn't eat most beans just because, like you. But this is where you need Texas chili, because in Texas chili, they don't put beans at all. There's a distinction. Texas chili has no beans, and it will have ground beef and a lot of times brisket. How good would that be?
Yeah, Texas. Medicine Hat is here on Friday. Okay, now while we're on the Extreme Hockey Western Hockey League report, Curtis, do you want to play the Gavin McKenna goal first? Do you have that one? If you're watching the stream and you didn't see this, watch this kid play ice hockey. Look at this. And then here, and then here. Like, that is something you do in the basement. My kids would do in the basement while playing knee hockey, mini sticks, call it what you want. Stop, and then over to this guy and into the net. That now, I was going to say it is awesome because he's here Friday playing the Regina Pats, so you get a chance to see him with your eyeballs, Tanner Mollendijk as well. But then hold the phone. If you're watching this, if you're watching the stream for this, and this one comes off, it's off the Jumbotron, but Curtis is going to play it too. He might be suspended because...
Oh, he's going to be suspended. That's a slash.
Is a major league slash...
That's $400 right there in a stick.
Does he? His agent's got it. I don't know if that's in the hand or in the stick, but what did you say to him? That's like the old slap shot. What did you say to him? Because he loses it. Like, that's a major league slash. So I don't know what that was against. Who was that? That looks like that's against Edmonton.
Yeah, it's Edmonton.
So what does Medicine Hat have this week? Looks like they don't play until Friday.
Yeah, so that's got to be at least 2 games, if not more, because any of that kind of stuff they've really been cracking down on this year. And
I'm looking up the Gavin McKenna 5-minute major for slashing and a game misconduct. Late in the third period. Yeah, there's a good chance that he is riding the bicycle in the bowels of the Brandt Center on Friday while his team plays. Or he'll just be in the press box. Good hockey player, though. Whew, so good. Do you have the standings for the Western Hockey League, Curtis? Like, this is where things are getting real interesting. We got Les Lazaruk coming up in hour 2. We'll pull this up as well. But look at this, Maz, right? Like, Prince Albert's 70 points. Brandon 3 back. Blades 3 back. Swift current now starting to sputter. It's if the Red Deer Rebels could have gone on a little bit of a heater there when we talked to Dave Strush, 3 weeks ago when we had him on the Brandt Center, the Rebels could have snuck. They could have made things really interesting for 8th place. And then you go to the Western Conference, and the one thing I want to touch on in the Western Conference, Saskatoon's Berkeley Catton has just recorded back-to-back 100-point seasons in the Western Hockey League. Have you paid attention to what him and that Andrew Cristall are doing in Spokane?
You can't stop them. They're just tearing it up. Doesn't matter who they're playing against, no matter what line, the opposition. They're just racking points.
It's like old school. It's like old school Mark Dial and Frank Banham with the Saskatoon Blades. Or who was the equivalence for the Regina Pats back then?
Who did Frank Kovacs play with? Because Frank Kovacs and he had some good running mates.
And Heward.
Yeah.
The pup line.
Yeah. Well, they were just everything was a tap-in.
You ever talk to Frank Kovacs? He is such a nice guy. Like, what in Regina, I would say top 10 nicest people in Regina. And he's a police officer. But yeah,
Ooh.
what
that job
doing,
will taint you. So if you can still be a nice guy and be a cop, because that's a hard job. You see you see the worst of the worst.
Want to hear a crazy story about police officers in Regina? Nothing that happened south of the border. Sunday morning, but my wife's got a side hustle, those tents for kids in the basements, and there's like one's a Taylor Swift.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that on Facebook. Yeah.
Pretty cool. And one's like a Taylor Swift party, right? So you rent all these tents and the girls and the Taylor Swift, everything, and Taylor Swift. So all of a sudden, Sunday morning, doorbell rings. Sleeping in, really trying to push it to 9 a.m. on Sunday. And I'm like, well, that's weird. Better go down there. Go down the stairs. First thing I see as I'm going down the stairs is a police cruiser in front of my house. And I'm like, going through the last few months of my life, and I'm like, no, nothing that would warrant that visit. Then all of a sudden you start thinking about the kids. What have the kids been into? Like, what's going on here? And there's a gentleman, full gear, officer, standing with, it looks like a package, and as I get closer, it's a Taylor Swift pillow. And I'm like, hi. He's like, hey, kids at a party. My wife said I'm supposed to drop this off. So they left one of the Taylor Swift pillows. So said police officer on his break or whatever, dropped off this pillow. I was like, okay, I said to him, this could have been the weirdest optics that I've encountered in the last, I don't know how long, where there's a police officer with a Taylor Swift pillow at my front door handing it to me.
I got neighbors that are super nosy. And remember when COVID was on, when you could call the cops on your neighbors for messing around? Oh, no, they're those people. So they would have but the neighbor on the other side, his name's Mike, and Mike's cool. He knows everybody, but we've kind of bonded because I have this rule of, I'll be your next door neighbor, but I won't bother you. I don't want anything from you. I gave him a bottle of... I helped a guy who was choking in a restaurant once, and he repaid me by giving me a really expensive bottle of scotch. But I barely drink, and I don't drink scotch. Like, it was like 100 and
Did
some
you do the
bucks.
Heimlich?
Close to. I wasn't
like
the only one.
Like Bedford Road Collegiate, like what we learned back. Okay.
So, anyways, I just hey, Mike, and I tell the story and I give him. He goes, "Do you know how much this is worth?" I'm like, "No," and he's like, "You sure?" And I'm like, "Yeah, take it, man. You'll drink all." He goes, "I'll drink it." And then that like an hour later, I was in the backyard with an axe trying to chop down a tree. Came over with a chainsaw. So that's my thing. So he's cool on the one side, but on the other, cameras all over the front of their house, including ones in the window, so they can watch everything happening on the cul-de-sac. And if a cop car would have showed up with this pillow, whatever, give it an hour, everybody else would have known what was happening on the cul-de-sac, that the cops were in front of the house, and the Taylor Swift pillow getting returned, which is a nice ending to the story. It would have been salacious somehow.
Yeah, no, I live in a little court too. And we got a little text group going, so maybe some people would have sent out some. Did you see the Shingrix? There were cops.
No, I don't even have that. I don't even want their numbers. It'll be like, you know what, everybody just kind of do their thing. Now we have a deal because Mike's single. We got kids, and he said, "Hey, if you're a guard
guy." Oh, he must. Does he have any ragers?
No, not when we moved in. He had a lady work with it, but that broke up, and so he's been single.
For the best, Mike.
I think he's dating. But with an open invitation, hey, I know you got kids. If your garbage can's ever full, because he travels a lot for work, he sells dynamite. Just use mine, blue bin, black bin, whatever. Oh, he does. He sells dynamite to like oil companies and mining companies.
Can we get him on the show?
And explosives. Oh, he's a beauty. Don't ask him about when he goes. He was telling me because we were chatting about when he's in Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. Because he's like, it's a crown corporation. Everybody gets a check. Like, everybody owns the oil.
Yeah.
And everybody reaps in the benefits, because he's like, it's too bad we can't live that way. And I'm like, yeah. Then he's telling me he goes to some of these developing countries, and he's like sleeping on the ground in a hut on like straw, because they're putting in infrastructure. Like, they're putting in like water, sewer, like lines, all like for months at a time. And I'm like, that sounds terrible.
Got a text message chirp from our friend Brandon from the Monday Nooner. Check the game notes. Homan's husband is an AJHL coach, former Rosetown Red Wing. I said, name?
No way.
Yeah. See?
So her husband actually lives in Alberta, and she lives in Ontario?
He'll text
or
back.
Where does she
hopefully.
live?
I don't know. She's from Ottawa. Oh, Sean Germain. I know that name. That's her husband. That's the husband. He's a good guy for a number of reasons. Think he's got a minivan or a big SUV? 3 young kids. We rented a minivan in Florida. My kids thought it was the greatest thing. Like they were in a spaceship. They're like, why don't we have one of these? I'm like, you guys are a little bit old
I'd have to say a few years ago, we got a Chrysler Pacifica when we were in Hawaii, and it was an awesome minivan because it was brand new. Like this thing had only 1,000 miles on it, so everything was working. You know, sometimes when you get a rental and it's got like 30,000 miles on it, and you're like, oh, that would have been a great feature if it worked. But you don't want to say anything because you don't want to get tagged for it, you know, like that you broke it and you're going to have to pay for it. But it was pretty cool. So I get the we don't own one, but I get the minivan thing.
AAA midget rundown and the rest of the hockey rundown, including some senior when we come back. It is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com and on the home of sports and Life Talk, 620 CKRM.
When equipment breaks down, there's no one more reliable than Reliable Equipment Repair, your authorized Kohler and Honda Parts and Service Center. They're your outdoor power equipment experts. Mowers, rototillers, snowblowers, water pumps, generators, industrial gas-powered equipment, power trowels, plate tampers, grain auger motors, garden tractors, and more. Pickup and delivery available. There's no one more reliable than Reliable Equipment Repair. 1702 McCarra Street, Regina.
Need to move canola? Louis Dreyfus Yorkton still has room to move your canola now with great basis levels. If you need to check bins and are looking for movement now, call LDC today. There are still a few more acres left in the LDC Next Era program with extra premiums above the very competitive basis levels. Find out why Louis Dreyfus Yorkton is a name you can trust with a web portal that keeps you up to date and delivery options that work for you. Call today 1-877-782-8882 or visit ldcyorkton.com.
So since that little ding on my car last week, I don't know where to take it.
I don't even know.
That's easy. Take it to Regina Motor Products.
Who said that?
I did. Down here. I'm Terry the Tire. Regina Motor Products Chevrolet Collision Center and SGI accredited auto body repair is a full-service collision and body shop that works on all makes and models. Just submit your claim to SGI and set an appointment to get your appraisal done. Easy.
I bet you're tired after saying all that.
South at Highway 1 and 6, Albert Street. RMPChevrolet.com.
Text CKRM 306-936-6262. Powered by Prairie Land Rentals. They've got everything you need for your projects. 600 Albert Street. PrairieLandRental.com.
The all-new Sports Cage. Watch our live stream at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
936-6262 if you want to chime in on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. Okay, so AAA midget hockey. Pats sees a 7-3 win over the Contacts yesterday. Moose Jaw also a win. Hey, shout out to Yorkton's AAA team. 6-4 win over the Saskatoon Blazers. Yorkton's a young squad up there. But things are pretty much wrapped up. I think the Pats Seas have one more game left, and then we're into the playoffs. In the AAA midget loop, that is going to be good hockey. Watch. It's going to be either, like looking at the standings, just pull them up here quickly, where things stand right now. The Pats Seas are in first. You covered that last week. And then Moose Jaw, they're going to end up finishing second. They can't catch them. Then Swift Current is right there. Then the Blazers, and then now Tisdale. But those teams have Tisdale's wrapped up. They've played all their games. It's going to be real interesting in AAA loop. Females, female AAA Rebels had the weekend off. Last game Thursday, the regular season coming up here, and then they're into the playoffs. Prairie Junior Hockey League, the Junior B, quiet week. The playoffs are here. In the South, in the Billy Johnson Conference, Rebels going to take on Fort Knox. That starts Friday in the Fort. And then the Storm and Capitals, they go at it. Their series starts Saturday. We'll be covering that here on the Sports Cage, the only sports show to cover the Prairie Junior Hockey League. Now, over in Senior Maz, there are some dandies. Yes, yesterday. Round Lake Bears comeback win 7-6 on the First Nation out in Ochap over Wynyard. I got to apologize to everyone from the Wynyard Monarchs. I didn't think that they'd be able to keep it close. They should have won that game. They were winning. Late game, huge tilt. If you want to go to the Monday Nooner Twitter feed, check out the knuckles that were chucked. Major League fight in that one as well. So they go at it again Friday night in Wynyard. Lumsden, they took game 1 over Raymore 6-2. I'm getting mixed messages on that one. Some are like, it wasn't a 6-2 game. Then other people are like, Lumsden outshot him really bad, although it was in Lumsden, so you never know, home team. But Lumsden's a good team. So they go, Raymore's got their backs up against the wall at the launch pad on Friday. Lorburn, a comeback win, 6-4 over Kenaston yesterday, shocking a lot of people. Game 2 is tonight.
It's tonight, right?
In
yeah,
Kenaston.
I'm just checking the odds on CoolBet. Yeah, the CoolBet.
Yeah.
So Lorburn, they're 165. Yeah, 165.
I wonder what if Brandon's listening closely. I wonder what he likes there on that one. That was a surprising comeback win there. So if you're in the Kenaston area, put everything down this evening and go watch that hockey game. Leroy 7-2 over Kyle. That's a little bit surprising. Leroy leads that series 1-0. Over in Provincial C, Assiniboia over Radville in Game 3. They play Foam Lake in the South Final. And Provincial D, shout out Radville. They beat QPAR 6-3 in Game 1. So senior hockey rundown. That's your local hockey rundown. How much time do we have? 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Les Lazaruk's coming up after the break. Here is the story. I'm going to 2 minutes, Maz. The traveling story, and then we'll get into this more. We get to the airport in Orlando. We never get to an airport 2.5 hours before our flight. We are getting out of the Uber, getting our bags out. My wife goes, we forgot the passports in the rental. And it's not a, no, Chikai. It's not a rental from like Enterprise. It's a Turo. People know what Turo is. You rent somebody else's vehicle because it was a holiday. We couldn't get rentals. So she's quickly texting the lady, I'm in New Orleans now. Oh, mama. So my daughter, I could see she's ready for Meltdown Central. The boy's taking it cool. Wife and I were like, hey, I say, you know what? You judge people on how they act in crisis. This is crisis. How are we going to make this happen? So the vehicle was still in Orlando. My wife basically jumped in a cab with the boy, did a triangle to go pick up keys, then to go to the vehicle, get the passports out of the glove box, made it back with the last boarding group on our flight. It was an hour and a half. I guess the cabbie was going 80 and 40s and just to get him back. But I've never had that feeling because I was like, well, they could be gone. Like, now how do we get a passport done? How scary is that?
First off, I mean, I asked
40
some questions.
You got 40.
First of all, what were the passports doing?
Honest mistake.
Okay, just
honest mistake. We had him in a bag, and then we got to Disney, and we were like, well, we're not taking our passports into Disney. Just throw them in the glove box. 4 days go by. We totally forgot they were in there, and the vehicle got picked up the night before. It is an honest mistake. Yeah, man.
Oh, the fact that you'd leave your passports in a glove box in a rental car for 4 days.
It was a sweet minivan. Okay. Well, let's get. I wanted to tee it up, so we'll get into that in hour 2 and a whole lot more. It is the Sportscage, streaming at Sportscage. Wow. Oh yeah, streaming at Sportscage. Curtis is making funny graphics. We're up against news. We'll catch you at Les Lazaruk to start hour 2.
Please, sir, can I have some warmth?
Warmth? You want warmth?
You didn't call Busy Bee, did you? Now it's winter and all the homeless rats are getting in.
I wish they had fixed that door then. It's dreadfully cold.
Go over there and eat your gruel. They gave you more.
If rats are getting in your garage, just call Busy Bee. They can fix or replace any commercial or garage door.
Please, sir.
Shut up.
Busy Bee Doors, the garage door specialists. Something all drivers have in common? Your vehicle should have a winter inspection. Landry's Napa Auto Pro specializes in full-service inspections. With certified mechanics on site, they handle everything from minor repairs to major overhauls. When you take your vehicle to Landry's service, your car is in the right hands. And quality Napa batteries always have the best prices. Landry's Napa Auto Pro, located on North Winnipeg Street, serving Regina for over 50 years.
Bidding is now open for the timed online land auction for Danny and Sherry Firth of Cardiff, Saskatchewan. Register to bid at macauctioncompany.com. Up for auction are 3/4 sections of farmland with oil surface revenue and good soil types in the arm of Mount Pleasant. Got land to sell? Call the Saskatchewan Land Auctioneers today. Saskatchewan owned, Canadian made. Bidding closes on the Firth land this Wednesday, February 26 at 10 a.m.
This is 620 CKRM, a Harvard media station. Available everywhere in high-res audio with the CKRM app.
It's 4 o'clock. Good afternoon. It's mostly sunny and it's 1 degree in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with 620 CKRM News. A major drug investigation has led to the arrest of 5 individuals here in Saskatchewan. Police say the 4-month operation resulted in the seizure of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, cash, firearms, and vehicles. Officers searched multiple locations in Regina, Alameda, and Frobisher last week, finding 7.5 kilograms of fentanyl and nearly half a kilogram of cocaine. Regina Police Service Inspector Gary Giroux talked about the seriousness of the drugs in a media conference today.
Those drugs obviously are very serious to the community. They cause death and bodily harm in our community and with our public.
The estimated value of the drugs is $1.5 million. Those arrested face several charges, including drug trafficking, possession of proceeds of crime, and involvement in organized crime. 2 of the accused played football with the University of Regina Rams last season. The investigation remains ongoing. Premier Scott Moe is leading a trade delegation to Washington to strengthen economic ties between Saskatchewan and the U.S. The trip aims to prevent potential tariffs and highlight the province's role in North American food and energy security. Minister of Agriculture Darrell Harrison is also attending a U.S. agriculture policy conference to promote Saskatchewan's agri-food industry. The delegation includes major Saskatchewan businesses like Cameco, Cenovus, and the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce. The U.S. is Saskatchewan's largest trading partner, with $40 billion in trade annually. The mission runs from today until the 27th. A 43-year-old man from Neilburg has died following a single-vehicle rollover on Highway 55 just east of Canwood. A Takakoop RCMP were called to the scene on Friday night at around 11:30 p.m. Fire and EMS also responded. The driver and another passenger were taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Police say the crash remains under investigation with assistance from an RCMP collision reconstructionist. With just 8 days left before U.S. tariffs go into effect on Mexican and Canadian goods, American President Donald Trump says they'll be going ahead on March 4th.
We're on time with the tariffs, and it seems like that's moving along very rapidly. We've been mistreated very badly by many countries, not just Canada and Mexico.
Trump initially threatened sweeping tariffs as a way to get Canada and Mexico to address illegal immigration and drug smuggling. Canada pledged to spend $1.3 billion on border security and has hired a fentanyl czar to deal with the issue. That's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
It's Grow Time! Canada's Farm Show Regina, Saskatchewan, presented by Viterra, the premier event for farmers, agribusiness professionals, exhibitors, and sponsors, happening March 18th to 20th, 2025. As the kickoff to the seeding and growing season, this dynamic trade show blends cutting-edge exhibits, insightful and hands-on learning seminars, and entertainment. It's the ideal event to collaborate, innovate, and grow your business. March 18th to 20th at Real District. Canada's Farm Show, ReginaSK.com.
Your Saskatchewan Co-op Ag teams are your trusted partners to support your entire farm operation. And we're giving back to our community. Since 2017, Co-op has invested $468 million in Saskatchewan through building, upgrading, and expanding local facilities. And we've returned $418 million to Co-op members. Co-op, we're building something for the future. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
And now your 620 CKRM precision weather forecast for Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McCarra Street. Tonight, partly cloudy and a low of -7. Tomorrow, becoming mostly cloudy and a high of +1. And on Wednesday, partly sunny at times and breezy with a high of +1. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's mostly sunny. Winds are from the west at 11 and it's +3. Regina is also mostly sunny. Winds are from the west at 13 and it's +1. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to our daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Are you afraid of losing your car or home due to debt? Don't let fear or shame hold you back from seeking help. Bankruptcy is not the only option. A consumer proposal can reduce your monthly payments, lower your overall debt, and allow you to keep your assets. My name is Jasmine Brown. I'm a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Regina, and I'm here to help you tackle your debt. Take the first step towards regaining control of your finances. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit BDOdebt.ca to learn more.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar, installing solar in residential and commercial buildings for 35 years. Local and trusted. Kellen Solar. Visit KELLNsolar.com. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Hour 2. We ended hour 1 with an unbelievable passport travel story that we'll get into as we move along here. Prairie Land Rentals text line, Maz. We've got a number of people going after the Rachel Holman, and now everybody's coming out of the woodwork saying there's ties to Alberta, Sherwood Park Curling Club.
Oh,
I guess she's lived in the Calgary area as well. I don't know if it's Calgary. See, Sherwood Park, Calgary aren't close.
Well, Sherwood Park is outside Edmonton.
Yeah,
Calgary's,
so there.
Calgary, yeah.
So there's Alberta tie, married to an AJHL coach. We're starting to establish stories here after we go. By hour 3, we're going to know kids' names. We're going to know vehicles they drive.
No, the only thing we need to know is when you're traveling, there's 2 things you need. Your wallet and your passport. Beyond that, you don't need anything else. You don't need luggage. You don't need your... Oh, you luggage. You need your wallet and your passport.
I know. Well,
I expect this out of you, not your wife. I've met your wife. She's organized. I've met you. You're not. You're the opposite of organized. You're the guy that we're holding the plane for because you decided to sleep in till 9, but your flight's at 7:30.
I get along well with Mike, your neighbor, that rolls dynamite. Sounds like a good guy. Also, 936-6262 is the number if you want in. And then, yes, Paul mentioned in hour 1, and we forgot to mention this, that the Eagles are not going to the White House. Hey? They're saying they're declining. They're saying they're giving Trump the old Heisman. No deal.
They did it back in 2018 as well. They had a team vote, and they decided to do it.
To each their own. That's my comment on it. To each their own. You don't want to go.
And I bet you, exactly. If you did, yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of people that probably, if they were going, would go. So, it's
like if the Lumsden Monarchs win the Provincial A Senior Championship, are they going to go meet Scott Moe? Some might decline it. To each their own. Also, on the heels of that, a text message, unnamed source. Lumsden has never been outshot in Lumsden. Wink, wink. I love it. People are feisty today. It's good. All right, Western Pizza, perfect night it's always a perfect night. The Greek favorites you love, the pizza pickup specials. Call your local Western Pizza today. Out on the Western Pizza guest hotline, joining us, definitely a guy who's never forgotten passports. He's done a lot of traveling. It's been a while. Les Lazaruk, voice of the Saskatoon Blades, joining. Lester, it's been a while. Nice to see your smiling face.
Good to see yours as well, Barney. And Maz, nice to meet up with you finally.
Yeah.
I've been hiding in plain sight in Barney's shadow.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, first off, before we get to the Western Hockey League, I want to get your take on the Four Nations face-off. What did you expect going in? What did you expect going in?
I expected what we got. I expected passion. I expected the players to play for their countries and play with the passion that they showed. And I mean, for anybody who thought differently, you were fooling yourself. These people care about the jersey in a lot of cases more so than they care about their club teams. So for some of the folks there that are worried about their Stanley Cup people, hey, you better start worrying, because some of these guys care more about the Olympics next year than they'll care about their Stanley Cup playoffs. However, when the time comes around to worry about the Stanley Cup playoffs, they'll be fine. Don't worry about that. The thing is, though, is that when you get a chance to put your nation's jersey on, you play harder for that than you do for your club team by a smidge.
I'm going to tell you guys this story. Roman and I are finishing golfing the one day last week. We're on 18. We hear these. You can overhear these gentlemen, probably just retired, talking in the parking lot as they load up their clubs about what are you doing for the game tomorrow night? And then so the one guy kind of knows what's going on, and the other two guys are clearly basketball and football fans, because then they start going through, no, it's just one game. It's like a Super Bowl, and it's all. And then they said, well, did you see on Friday or did you see on Saturday night? I saw the highlights. I can't. So then they're planning on where to go watch this game. And the thing, spending time down there and living down there with them, we have this superiority complex. I don't know if that's the right word, about the big bad Americans. And then we watched it at a sports bar down there as well. There were so many fans of not hockey. Maybe will they watch hockey again? Who knows? They just were so intrigued by everything that was going on that they were glued to the TV. And these were basketball and football people. So I don't know if there's people that are thinking that this was bad for the game, besides maybe the general managers and the owners that are now missing players.
You're right. Owners especially. GMs understand. Owners, not so much. Corporate sponsors, not so much. People that buy the luxury suites, not so much. I mean, they're going, where's our money being spent on here? Where's the guys I came to see? They're out? For what? What did they do? They played in some international tournament? Why are we doing this? Too bad. Suck it up.
I think if it is anything, because I think they play the Olympics on regular ice now. Don't they? I think that's one of the things that they put like that. I don't think they go to the Olympic ice. So you guys correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any way that Connor Bedard or Macklin Celebrini could have played in that game? Like, wouldn't you rather have had a Tom Wilson?
Yeah, probably. The way that one looked, the way it was coming off, possibly. But maybe Tom Wilson will be considered next year.
After watching Macklin Celebrini last night play against the Flames, and I know that he is a year behind Bedard, but as far as first round number 1 overall picks go, Macklin Celebrini to me looks like a much more complete player, and I think a lot of that has to do just with size, because he can handle himself out there. If he needs to go get the puck, he can get it. Besides, it was in the third period, and they were trying to set him on a power play, but he, just because of his size, could go play. I don't think he would have looked at a place on Team USA if he would have taken the spot. A couple of things I just saw. Jason Demers, there's a quote out there. He says he loves playing against Adam Fox, especially in the playoffs. And in that game, Adam Fox made 2 mistakes, 2 goals. And then the best. Torts would not fly on the charter back to Philly because there was Canadians on the charter. He drove himself. God, I love Torts.
Torts is wonderful.
Torts was ready to fight in that Saturday night game. He was so fired up on the bench that he was ready to dive over. And whether or not Torts' shelf life, it always runs out. God, he's entertaining when he is in the spotlight.
Like, isn't
absolutely
John Cooper? Like, who does not like John Cooper now? Like, I liked him before, and after watching that, and then now him mic'd up on the bench and all that, it like is everyone saying, "Hey, I want to play for this guy," all the time?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, he's a tremendous coach.
Like, yeah. Because whenever we were like, everybody owes Jordan Billington an apology, everybody on this show. But the other thing, too, is apologize to John Cooper for doubting him for Billington in all of those games, to be like, Coop knows more than everybody, and Coop's won everywhere. And the thing is, he's a lawyer, and he was a high school coach. And to question him after this, to be like, nah, I think we learned a lesson. Don't question Coop.
And I think it's like the high school coach by like default. Like they were like, "Hey, can you really please coach these guys?" He's like, "Okay, I will." I forget how the story goes, but it's an amazing. Okay, Lester, let's get into the Western Hockey League here. And I expected things to be maybe a little more clear where we are February 24th, but when we look at the standings and where things are, the Saskatoon Blades tied with Brandon with 67 points right now, 3 back of Prince Albert. What is the mood? First off, let's go with Saskatoon. What is the mood around the team with fans? Because in Saskatoon, you got the fans that know exactly why they did what they did and what happened last year and all that. And then you have the fans that are somewhat new that are like, why did we do this? We were in first place. What's the mood in my hometown?
I think the fans that were going, why did we do what we did, are understanding now why things were done what they're done. And the fact that the team is holding in there, hanging in there so far is proof positive that what they had to do is the right thing to do, and that they can look ahead and say, okay, we may not finish first this year. We may not win a playoff round this year. We might, too. We might surprise somebody. But if the Blades don't win a playoff round this year and don't finish first, just take a look at all the 17-year-olds you got in your roster. You got a couple of 16-year-olds, and Cooper Williams especially, who's among the top 5 in rookie scoring, and Zach Olson, who's just bull in the china shop out there. Those types of guys, you can, in next year and 2 years from now especially, you can look forward to doing pretty darn well in the Western Hockey League. So I think everybody's starting to understand that what had to be done, and it's not as bad as everybody thought it was going to be.
Now, Les, a lot of teams like Lethbridge, Medicine Hat, Calgary, they've kind of bought their way in. To me, the story of this season so far, because it's organic, because they're playing great hockey as a team, the Prince Albert Raiders, what have you seen that has clicked from early in the season to now? They're one of the best teams, and going into the playoffs, they're peaking at the right time, but it's organic. It's not bought with 1 million draft picks and a bunch of 19 and 20-year-olds. What's happening in PA?
Well, they've got actually some good young players. Daxon Rudolph, I see again, is player of the week, or rookie player of the week, I should say. So here's a guy who was the first overall pick in the prospects draft. They had the second overall pick right after him in Riley Boychuk. Those two guys are starting to figure it out as 16-year-olds, but they're still led by goaltender. I mean, you talk about Jordan Binnington playing for Team Canada and how he had to come up big. Max Hildebrand's been coming up big all year long for the Prince Albert Raiders, and now he's got that team around him that can put a few goals home. Tomas Mercic has been tremendous up front. Lucas Dragicevic. I mean, it's such a different looking Prince Albert team than what fans up north are used to. They love to see the bang and crash style, and they've used that very successfully in that smaller Art Hauser Center building. But now you've got a team that can actually skate with anybody, and skill-wise with anybody. And as a result, you've got a team that's probably going to finish in first place in the East Division the way they're going right now.
Why is Swift struggling right now at times? They lost to the Pats the other night.
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I mean, Terrace McEwen, I'm sure, wonders the same thing. Is why is it that we look like world beaters on certain days. I mean, they always look like a pretty good team against the Saskatoon Blades, I'll tell you that much. And yet against some of the other teams, maybe they just play at the team's levels. Maybe that's the problem that they have in Swift Current, and they've got to find a way to be the better team against the teams they have to beat along the line, and they have to find a way to continue to be a good team against the better teams and maybe make their way up the standings. But right now, the way they're going, they're probably going to be finishing up in 8th in the conference and playing a Medicine Hat or Calgary in the first round, which isn't a very good option for them.
From your expertise and a guy that's watched the teams this year play and teams from the past as well, but this year I want to focus on Medicine Hat, Calgary, Lethbridge. Out of those 3 teams, who do you think is built to possibly win the Western Hockey League? They all are, but if we were going to put some Hiroshi down, who should I put it on?
I would, because it's difficult because right now Medicine Hat's missing guys, Lethbridge is missing guys. The Blades played Lethbridge last week. They'll play them again tomorrow. They're missing 4 of their top forwards. I mean, Logan Wormold would make a difference to that team. Miguel Marcus would make a difference to that team. On the Medicine Hat side, imagine if they could ever get Caden Lindstrom back, get Andrew Basha back, who's a 30-plus goals guy. They're missing people. They're missing Jonas Wu off their back end along with Bryce Pickford. They're all injured. So if Medicine Hat ever got their guys together, I would say them. Lethbridge might be the next best team. But as it sits right now, if you had to ask me, I would say Calgary because they're healthy. They've got really good goaltending in Daniel Hauser, who's a veteran in this league. And then the other thing, too, is that they've got Carter Yakimchuk on the back end along with Sawyer Mineo. Yakimchuk should have played for Canada at the World Juniors, didn't. Mineo did. Caden Price playing for Lethbridge is a good defenseman, but I like what Calgary has as it is right now at this particular moment.
Who's got the best goaltending out of those 3 teams?
Ooh.
Like, do you go with the experience and what Unger did last year?
Yeah, you know what? You could make that argument. I think Hauser is pretty darn good too. Harrison Menigan, gave Medicine Hat all he could for 3 years before this. So if I had to pick one guy, I might very well go with Hauser as it stands right now.
The Gavin McKenna / how many games is he going to get for that, Les? I said 2. At minimum 2, if not more.
Yeah. First-time offender. I think the league is in a situation here where they have to be careful. There's a lot of talk, and I don't think it's really serious, but a lot of people out there still want to believe that Gavin McKenna is going to bolt out of this league next year and go play NCAA. The Western Hockey League don't want that. That's their most marketable guy. So they might just go ahead and say, you know what? We're going to give you 1 game and be done with it like that. But I think you're right. It should be minimum 2 and maybe more, but I can see it being 1. And if it's 2, then, good on the league for, really calling the bluff of the McKenna camp and saying, hey, you can't do what you did to Josh Morey. I mean, watching that video right there, I mean, that's pretty blatant. That's pretty bad. However, he just finished taking the hit high in the head from Morey, which wasn't penalized either. So, I mean, at some point in time, the Tigers are going to retort back and say, hey, this is our marquee guy. This is the marquee guy in the league. Let's protect him too. But that's hockey, though. That happens everywhere. McDavid gets it every once in a while like he did. He lost his cool and went at Connor Garland that time. So, that's going to happen.
Who does McKenna remind you of as a Western Hockey Leaguer, Les?
Who? He's a talent onto his own, really. I mean, he does a lot of things well. The fact that he's not a center iceman, he's a winger, and does the things he does off the wing is really impressive. So I can't compare him to any of the great centers of the league. And most of the wingers were, power forward types. He's not a power forward. He's a guy that's more to the outside, but has a tremendous shot. And when he gets within 15 feet, that shot's probably going to go in. So, but he doesn't take it all that often. He's a playmaking type of a winger. He might be more of a Mitch Marner type of a player, believe it or not. Yet I think he's bigger than Marner. So that's really not a fair comparison either.
So week 10 days ago, the news breaks, the Penticton Vs most likely are going to be in the West Division of the Western Hockey League. And I saw a video on the weekend talking about how they had to pay Kelowna a 7-figure sum because they're kind of in their backyard. Although someone made a good point, not too many people in the dead of winter are driving from Penticton to Kelowna to watch a game, but whatever, that's how it all works out, and then they had to pay the expansion fee. How does the roster work? Does Penticton just show up with everybody that's on the team this year? Are rosters going to get rated here? Is there going to be a supplemental draft? Like, how does their roster start for next year?
There has to be an expansion draft of some kind.
Okay.
The players they've got on their current BCHL roster, some of them do have affiliations to Western Hockey League teams. I don't know how many it is. It's maybe like 9 or 10. So right away, those Western Hockey League teams are saying, bring them to us. We'll give them a shot next year. And, or maybe you see a deal being made where if Penticton really wants one of those players that has WHL affiliation, then they get a chance to give, that Western Hockey League team, say, a draft pick somewhere along the line in order to make sure they get to keep that player. So, but there's going to be an expansion draft. There's going to be some sort of a supplemental restocking of the Penticton Vs with help from the various teams around the loop.
So, we had John Keane on 2 weeks ago, and I was talking to Keener, and I was like, man, this seems really aggressive for them to be firing up here in basically August. I would think that it would be the next year.
Well, they've got everything there. I mean, the infrastructure for that franchise is there. It's just a matter of changing leagues. It's no different than the Wenatchee Wild basically left the BCHL, took on the Winnipeg Ice, and here they are. And they were ready to go that fall as well, in the fall of 2023. So really, I don't think it's that big of a deal for Penticton to be ready to go come August with training camp and go through an expansion draft and a prospects draft and the whole 9 yards. They'll be ready.
I love it because I've been watching it with my own eyeballs, right? Having a 2011 boy, and all the scouts that are at these Bantam AA games watching the 2010s. And then now it's like, there's been no Penticton scouts at any of these tournaments at anywhere. And it's like, I'm very curious on how it plays out. And I think it's good. Do you think Chilliwack is the next play there, Les?
That's what they're talking. It surprises me considering that they had a team and then had it move out of there to Victoria and left a lot of sour feelings in the community of Chilliwack. I love the rink. It's called Prospera as well. It's Prospera Arena, I think, not Prospera Place like it is in Kelowna. But, I mean, it's a gorgeous rink in Chilliwack, and I'd love to see another team go there. But, is it necessary? And same thing. Are they going to have to pay some sort of a fee, territorial rights fee to the Vancouver Giants who are in Langley, which is a lot closer to Chilliwack than actual downtown Vancouver is? So is Chilliwack the next one? Maybe. What happens then with the conferences? Who's going to go and even things out? 24 teams. You can't have an 11 and 13. Well, of course you can, because it's the Western Hockey League. They do what they do, sort of a thing. But you'd like to think they would go 12 and 12. Who moves over into the Eastern Conference? The Prince George Cougars? Hey, their second closest game to them is the Edmonton Oil Kings right now. That's their second nearest location to them, aside from the Kamloops Blazers. That's where there's a lot of conjecture as to what's going to end up happening. Is how do you balance out the conferences? And boy, I don't know. I'd be willing to put a team into the Eastern Conference from the three Prairie provinces ahead of putting another team in BC.
So last week we found out that the Notre Dame Junior A Hounds are going to be leaving Wilcox and moving to Warman, a suburb of Saskatoon. And it's so funny to think that there's suburbs of Saskatoon now. And there's all these stats. Warman, the fastest growing city in Saskatchewan. The two guys that are going to run it, they're kind of rich, right? 5 years, and then they hand it over to the community. I mean, this is your backyard. Sad because of all of the rich history in Notre Dame, and then that's leaving, because that's a bit of a shock. Do you think that that's the smartest move for the SJHL to put them there, and that it's going to be a home run from game one?
Home run from game one? Maybe not right away, but I think it will do okay as the community warms up to it, as the area warms up to it. I think another option for hockey, for junior hockey, because right now what you have is you have major junior and then you have junior B. So there's kind of a little area there to be filled in, and maybe for some folks in this area, if they would like to go watch some Junior A, there's something to go and try out. And who knows, if they do a good job, they might be able to do okay with fans. But I'd like to believe that there's still market for both Major Junior and for Junior A, and that Warman will succeed just because there really is there's a gap there in that whole area, that gap between Prince Albert and Saskatoon. You have to have something there, and I think that's a perfect fill-in for folks in that area. Again, building only holds 1,200, so it's not like it's going to be taking scads of fans away. It's just a matter of filling up 1,200 seats on a day-by-day basis. And the other thing is too, with radio, broadcasters, they're going to have to do something to that rink in Warman, because the Blades play an exhibition game there every September in the preseason. I broadcasted that out of that building once, and that's it. I ain't doing it again. The way that facility is. Not happening ever again. They need to upgrade that in order to make it worthy for some team from Humboldt, for Yorkton, for any of the guys in the league to go into there and to try and broadcast from out of that. Not a good deal. They need to upgrade that stuff.
Heck, you got to call them the Warman Valley Crusaders, like the old Junior B team, and make them play out of the Diamond. Make them play out of the Diamond Arena. That small service in Warman. Okay, before we let you go, Les, I want to ask one more thing back to the Western Hockey League. And Maz and I were talking about this earlier. I know his father. I know him now. What he's doing, what he did for Team Canada was, as his age, was awesome. Berkeley Catton, back-to-back 100-point seasons, Western Hockey League. What him and Cristal are doing right now for Spokane, like Maz was saying, it's like they're unstoppable. It's like, it's like the Bantam A hockey, and it was like the two kids from the small town that no one can contain. Does that remind you like maybe of a Bantam and Dale thing from the Blades back in the day, like these two guys?
Sure, absolutely they do. They've got that type of dynamic. The fact that Spokane, it surprised me that they went after Andrew Crystal. I didn't think they would go after Crystal. I thought he would end up somewhere else, like Prince George or someplace like that. But no, he goes to Spokane, and the Chiefs are suddenly a team that's in the top 10 in the CHL and a legitimate threat to maybe win the whole league. I didn't see that coming. That was not on my bingo card. But boy, you match up a dynamic playmaker like Catton with the scoring ability of an Andrew Crystal. Boy, that's a tremendous 1-2 punch. And again, it does evoke memories of Bantam and DL here with the Blades back in the mid to late 90s.
Yeah. I lied. I got one more. What do you think about what the Riders have done in the offseason?
Great. They look good. I like what they've done. I'm happy that they were able to re-sign the key pieces. Most notably, I think Jameer Thurman as middle linebacker, I think is somebody you absolutely had to have back. Upgrading their offensive line, I think, is massive. Those are the two big areas as far as I'm concerned. Trevor Harris at quarterback, he's going to play well. He's going to look after himself. The question becomes, can he stay healthy for the entire season?
Mm-hmm.
They've gone ahead and hedged their bet on that by bringing in Jake Mayer. Not my favorite to be the backup quarterback, but hey, he was available. He's played in the league. He'll be okay, I'm sure, when called upon. I love the fact they've got a legitimate third down quarterback now in Tommy Stevens. I mean, just give him the ball and let him run crazy. Can you imagine the Riders with a tush-push involving Tommy Stevens at quarterback? My goodness, nobody might stop him for about 20 yards before he finally tripped over each other and fell down. But, I think I like what the Riders did.
We're going to have to call it the Slechka shove, though, to make it Ukrainian for this area.
Exactly.
Lester, hey, I still owe you a lunch at Sardinia's. Don't worry. It's on it's on my list. Appreciate you taking some time today, buddy.
And I've also had is it Chris or Curtis? I can't remember the fellow who sent me the email.
Curtis,
talking to me about needing a bobblehead for your set.
Yes.
We may have to exchange.
Yeah.
May have to do an exchange.
Tyler Warwick and I were working some trade, some Monday Nooner gear for some Blades gear. Just a matter of me getting a chance to come by the office there. Hey, you know me. I'm always hustling, Les. Always hustling.
I understand. Well, you're a salesman. What the heck? You always have been.
Awesome, buddy. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon.
Take care, boys. Good talking to you.
That is
Bye-bye.
Voices of the Saskatoon Blades, absolute broadcast legend from Saskatoon, Les Lazaruk.
But pulled rank 1 game in Mormon and never to return again. It's in his contract. There's no brown M&Ms, and there are no games in Mormon at that arena. I will not do it. That's awesome.
It's the Sports Cage. We are streaming at sportscage.com and on the home of sports in Saskatchewan, 620 CKRM.
On the farm, dirt doesn't just get under your fingernails. It runs through your veins. Your equipment is just as tough. You bought it for its rugged dependability and efficient operation. To keep your machinery running as good as the day you bought it, you want genuine AGCO parts, fluids, and filters from Nick Service. Their friendly parts staff has what your equipment needs to keep it running at the top of its game. Keep it genuine at Nick Service, your local genuine AGCO parts headquarters.
Future Ford has been serving the Melville area for over 30 years. They've had some changes over the years, but the one thing they focus on is the future. Their staff are ready for what's to come. Ford Tech is changing all the time, with new connected vehicle technology like EV, self-driving, and more. They are part of a large dealer group with access to hundreds of vehicles of all makes, so they can help you find yours. Check out their full inventory 24/7 and book a test drive today at www.futureford.ca. Get ready to drive into the future. Why? Because the future is Future Ford.
Tiny toppings and cardboard-flavored carbs are not what you get when you order from Western Pizza. But they haven't just perfected pizza. No, my friend, add Caesar salad to that list, along with satisfying garlic toast, baked lasagna, crispy chicken wings, and every other item on their extensive menu. Western Pizza makes food for hungry people. So if you're only kinda sorta hungry, you should invite more people. Western Pizza, big on toppings, big on taste.
The Sask Sport Athlete of the Month Award celebrates outstanding performances in a given month by a Saskatchewan athlete or team. Recent Athlete of the Month recipients include Jonathan Podbielski, who claimed the University of Regina Cougars' first youth sports cross-country championship medal in over 10 years. After his performance at the 2024 IWWF Water Ski Pan American Championship, Enzo Christian claimed 5 medals and was awarded October Athlete of the Month. And in September, para-swimmer Shelby Newkirk and para-cyclist Keely Shaw claimed bronze in their respective sports at the Paralympic Games to share Athlete of the Month honors. Learn more about each of the recipients and how to nominate an athlete or team in your community at sasksport.ca. Sask Sports Athlete of the Month program is supported by Sask Lotteries, the main fundraiser for more than 12,000 sport, culture, and recreation organizations.
The all-new Sports Cage is live streaming from our Century Studios in downtown Regina. Watch now at sportscage.com. Be part of the show by texting 306-936-6262. 620 CKRM.
Clutch performer time for Nick Service in Emerald Park. Your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fendt dealer. 781-1077. Talk to the fine folks at Nick Service in Emerald Park. Weather like this makes me feel like seating is around the corner. Not that I know anything about seating. That is just around the corner. We want a slow thaw, don't we? Isn't that what they say?
Yeah. Maybe a touch damp to start seeding by Friday, but we'll keep an eye on the forecast.
Oh, watch that Maple Creek area. They hum. I bet you it's 16 there this week. That's Southwest. And when I worked in Swift Current in radio, it was always like everything was always a little bit more advanced. Well, you worked there as well. And don't you remember like Maple Creek? It's like other places are like, oh, it's 1, it's +2. And in Maple Creek, it's +17.
Always. It was always the hot spot in Saskatchewan, sometimes the hot spot in Canada. I think I've told the story. One of the highlights of living in Swift Current is when Dwayne, the EMT guy, threatened to throw the general manager of the radio station out the front door of the house I was living in because he was uninvited. Still one of the best power moves ever before people called it a power move.
People from Maple Creek are in town shopping at the wholesale club. That was always a big deal. And then they look tanned. They must have come back. No, they just live in Maple Creek. It's been 17 there all week. Okay, clutch performer, Nick Service. I have to go with Rachel Holman.
How can you not?
Like, 22 straight wins at the national championship. This isn't at your dad's spiel in Kerrobert. This is the national championship. And she hasn't lost a game. 22.
And the other thing, too, is she curled 100%. Like, she curled perfectly.
Look at these people in Thunder Bay. Doesn't that remind you of Saskatchewan people, though? I appreciate the people in Thunder Bay.
Well, here's the thing. It's the curling crowd. And the best part about a curling crowd, if you walked up and said, excuse me, I lost my wallet. Can I borrow $5 to get a Coke? They'd be like, oh, sure, just take it. You don't need to pay me back. Or, hey, I left the lights on in my car, or I left my passports in there. Could you give me a ride to the airport? Oh, sure, not a problem. Hop in. I got the Vandura over here. She's all warmed up.
Just take my card and tap it. Bring it back. Doesn't matter when. Just bring it back. Yeah, curling fans are awesome. But yeah, 5th, Scotties, Tournament of Hearts for Holman, and then she'll see Trails, Colleen Jones, Jennifer Jones, and Jill Officer by 1-6. So she is my clutch performer for Nick's service in Emerald Park. Anyone else got one? Anyone around the horn? The sheriff?
I was going to go with the Buffalo Sabres, and when he got hit in the... When one of the announcers got hit in the head.
Ray.
Yeah, with Rob Ray with the hockey
Rob Ray got hit in the forehead in between the benches with no helmet on. But the best part is we can't play what he said. And it's exactly what everyone would say if you got hit in the forehead with a hockey puck.
No kidding.
Instant first reaction.
Have you ever seen the video of him, Allen, when he was playing and a fan ran on the ice?
Fortunately, I did not. Did he tackle him?
They get him at the bench, and he just starts the lawnmower. You got to look it up. It's
homework,
epic.
I guess.
It's epic. No, that's a good one. Curtis, no. Maz, no. Okay, so that was our clutch performers for Nick's service in Emerald Park, your local Massey Ferguson Challenger, Rogator, Gleaner, and Fent dealer. Call 781-1077. Back to traveling stories. Do you want to do it now that Les is done and I teed it up in our where do you want to you said my wife's more organized, I'm not, the forgetting of the passports when we get to the airport. Now that you've had about 30 minutes
that's on both of you, which I'm like, no, because it's why are there balloons? I don't know why. But it's funny, you're talking about being at Disney World. I remember when I first started dating, she wasn't my wife yet. We went to Disney World because my sister lives in Florida. She lives about 2 hours away in Sarasota.
Mm-hmm.
So we drive, go do the whole thing, and we did the Disney. And so my wife had never been, and she wanted to see the princesses, the characters and stuff. But it's so hot there that they do it indoors. We waited in line, and this is talking about being young and in love. I swear we waited over 2 hours in one of these buildings so she could have a chance to go meet some of these Disney princesses.
No.
And get pictures. Yes.
No. Okay, so here it is. And go ahead. That's crazy.
Because it's so busy. Everybody wants to see Mickey and Minnie and Snow White. And God, I can't even remember.
Okay, Sportscage listeners that are going to Disney. And this is Disney World. They do it in California, but this is Disney World. My wife found this hack. I don't know the lady's name that got her onto it, but it's only like 17 times a year. And I think it's each park does it. It's called Disney at Night. So what it is it's actually cheaper than a day pass. And then if you go day pass and lightning pass, like you are expensive. So you go Disney at Night. The catch is, the rub is from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. till 1 a.m. 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. There is like 2,500 people in the entire park. Parking lots cleared out. And you just try and hammer in as many rides as possible. In Magic Kingdom, the first day we rode 15 rides. We went on Space Mountain, the roller coaster. We came off and we went right back on. It was like our own personal roller coaster. This is not the Disney that I was planning. I went into this trip so disgruntled, and then walking into the park, you can get into the park at 7 p.m. So if you want to go stand in line and do the rides, go nuts. But after 10, you got to have the special bracelet, and then it's just you. Have you seen that Tron roller coaster where you're kind of sitting on like a bike? We rode that 3 times. Like, it was unreal. So there's these dads walking out at 7 p.m. when we're walking in. And I'm like, that is exactly what I was worried and scared about. I did not want to be that. And mind you, I'm taking a 13-year-old and an 11-year-old. To each their own. I could never imagine going when they're like really young, especially when they can't remember it. So the rub is, if you want to meet the princesses and the Mickeys and all that, this isn't for you. But if you got kids and they just want diesel rides all night, this Disney at night, there's the hack. The longest we stood in line for a ride was the Aerosmith roller coaster, which is unreal. Rock and roller coaster. So good.
Next to the Tower of Terror.
25 minutes. That felt like an eternity. At that point, I was spoiled. I was kicking and screaming. I'm like, this is way too long. 25 minutes. My wife looks during the day, hour 55, hour 45. And I'm like, what? Like, if someone, there's the Tron, if you're watching the stream, there's the Tron roller coaster. And at nighttime, that thing is even better. Just hums.
Last time we were there,
if someone said we have a rocket ship and you have a chance to go to Mars, but you have to wait in line for 2 hours, I might not do it. That's how much I hate lines. So this was the ultimate hack.
In a normal situation, because the last time we were there, oldest daughter was 8, second young oldest is 4. So we're that family that you saw when you were going in, coming out looking like they've been through a war zone. That was us. Because you're there all day. If you went on, we maybe that day, 5 rides total, because you had to plan it out. And even for like the teacups and like everything, like you're waiting, but because there's a million people there. And we didn't buy the fast passes because even the fast pass lines for some of this stuff. This is when some of the Star Wars stuff was just opening. It was still like an hour in some.
The one Star Wars thing at the second park, so what is it, Hollywood Park? It's the Disney. That Star Wars, I forget what it's called. It's 20 minutes long. We were trying to figure out like how many people, how long it would have taken to put this whole. It's like you're part of a movie. It's crazy, and there's people that wait in line 2 hours to go on it during the day, and you were putting in an 8-hour shift, weren't you?
Well, for what you pay to get in, you're not leaving after 20 minutes. And I remember when we got there, it had just opened. We were already in parking lot L. Like everything I thought, well, we're early. No, we're in parking lot L to get on the tram, to go ride to the front of the park, to go stand in line, to pay to get in, to just go and stand in other lines all day long.
Exactly.
And I think it was 95, and the humidity was probably 90%.
Yeah, exactly. And we were parking, and the parking lot was full. When we left, it was a spattering of vehicles. Like everyone left their vehicle after a provincial hockey game at the rink, and you go and pick it up the next day. That's what it looked like. It seemed like there was 10 vehicles in the parking lot, and that's just because there's no lines. There's nobody there. We got to take a quick break. That's the hack. Filled you in on the hack. It's the Sports Cage. Streaming at sportscage.com.
CoolBet has all the hot games. For all the free-to-play casino games, head to coolbet.co. They've got sports odds, including Saskatchewan senior hockey, plus all the sports odds you can think of. From the ice to the field to the court, CoolBet has you covered. All at your fingertips. No risk, just thrill. So why wait? Get in the game and embrace the unexpected at coolbet.co.
In curling, greatness isn't just handed out. It's earned, one throw at a time. This isn't just a moment on the ice. This is the moment of truth, where odds are defied and history is made.
Hard line! Clean!
A stone's throw from history. Experience it live at the 2025 BKT Tires World Men's Curling Championship, March 29th to April 6th at the Moose Jaw Event Center. Get your tickets now at curling.ca.
It's time to turn up the heat on trades at Crestview. For a limited time, get a $2,500 trade-in bonus on any trade-in. We're going to work to get you the same or similar payment to what you got right now. And we got something for everybody. Over 200 brand new vehicles, Jeeps, Rams, Caravans, and so much more. Plus, Capital's 100K giveaway is back in Crestview. Check out capital100k.ca for your chance to win. We're turning up the heat on trades at Crestview Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
When it comes to your tractor, why choose between power and versatility? Get big iron, power, and performance in a flexible package with Case IH Puma Series tractors. Keep cool and carry on day and night with an in-cab cool box and enhanced lighting. Maximize productivity with longer service intervals, up to 750 hours for engine oil and 1,500 hours for transmission fluid. And do it all in style with the latest Case IH design. Get the right size and power to take whatever your day brings with Case IH Puma Series tractors at Young's Equipment.
Welcome back to the all-new Sports Cage. Get social with us. Follow us on X at Sports Cage. Watch our video stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio at 620 CKRM.
It's Barney Shinkaruk, Colson's not here. Curtis and Allen.
No.
Is Colson?
No
When's
double
Colson
C's.
back?
It's a C. Colson's in love celebrating his first wedding anniversary in Banff.
Yeah, he's going to be back on Wednesday.
In Banff.
Yeah, he's enjoying the mountains. He's experiencing some of life's greatest pleasures of living in Alberta, right? Going and seeing the mountains.
This is kind of the time of the year, though. If you're not going skiing or snowboarding, going to Banff is like sloppy roads, expensive everything, $10 coffees,
$15 beer.
You want a good deal?
We say $10 coffees like Maz wasn't flashing his Starbucks earlier in the stream, you know? Big bucks.
I read today that they laid off 1,100. Starbucks laid off 1,100 employees today, corporate employees, because they have 16,000 apparently at corporate across the world. So they laid off 1,100. I read
they're not charging enough for coffee, is what I'm hearing.
And their new CEO, within the first couple of months of him taking the job, he made over $8 million in just like the first couple of months from his compensation package and shares and profits and stuff. So he negotiated a good deal.
Yeah. Speaking of good deals, Dry Rib Mondays, Canadian Brew House, $9.99 cracked pepper and sea salt dry ribs, $1.50 off tankards of Michelob Ultra. Visit Canadian Brew House in your area. Locally tonight, let's run down what's going on. We have nothing in the SJHL, nothing in the Western Hockey League. Pat's back in action Friday here against Medicine Hat. AAA, Nama, nothing. And the only, there's two games I want to mention. So I got a text message here on my phone that I got to give it. 8 o'clock, Regina Pat Blues, Prairie Storm, Bantam, AA, huge tilt, 8 p.m. at the Sixer. And then up in Kenaston, it is game 2 tonight between Loreburn and Kenaston in the Provincial A Series. Loreburn, a comeback win last night. They got a chance to wrap it up. That would be shocking. All Kenaston's done in the last 3 years is hang banners. And Loreburn Loreburn's got one of those old, this is the game tonight's in Kenaston, but Loreburn, Maz, is one of those like Sasky beauty rinks, like the big.
Yeah, like the rounds.
Oh,
yeah.
So good.
Slanted corners, nothing square. That's a bit of an engineering marvel these days. And that's a lot of shingles on the outside. With what shingles are going for these? Oh,
yeah.
That's a lot of shingles.
Shout out Chad McCormick. If you got a shingle guy, you need a shingle guy if you're doing one of those rinks in a small town. On average, Disney World in Florida has 159,000 visitors per day.
Oh my God!
So that's so it's broken down because there's like 20 parks, but Magic Kingdom 48,000, 48,000, and when we did the Disney at night, I think the number my wife got was 3,000 people max. Do it, trust me. Unless your kids are really young and they want to see princesses, which. Are they going to even remember Disney besides the pictures? That's it. Does your daughter remember it when she was 4?
No, but it's easy to go back on the iPad and look at the pictures and go down that road. So had your wife not come back with the passports, so you guys are just would have been in the lobby of the Orlando airport waiting to check in. I'm assuming at either the WestJet or the Air Canada counter. And you guys just would have been like,
I checked in.
But how could you check in without a passport?
I had my passport. I always put it in the same part of my backpack.
Okay, so hold on, team player. So you would have been able to come back home, and you would have left your wife and 2 kids in Florida.
The fact that I could check in all the luggage saved us. It was quick goat thinking time. So I check in all the luggage, so all they have to do is go through security up to the gate, get their passports verified. If they would have had to check in luggage, no dice. Game over. So that's what helped us. It's on me. The passports, forgetting of the passports is on me too. Because the question, like you said, wallet, passports. It's all you need when you travel. Golf watch, if you're a big golf guy. But those are the two easy things to remember. It's on me. And they just, you know what? Her and the boy, they buzzed to get back. Like I said, they made it right to the gate. If you missed the story earlier, we showed up to the Orlando airport and we're unloading the luggage from the Uber. And my wife and I remember that we left the passports in a rental vehicle, which is not a real rental. It's a Turo. So that vehicle is now on the other side. Someone owns it. We had to go get keys, and then back to the airport. It was like an hour and a half of a cabbie speeding. I think she said it cost her $220.
In the cab.
Cab guy. He had fun, though. It sounded like he was up for the challenge. Yeah. So, yeah, don't always remember your passports. And, the problem was I had to check in because getting everybody home was going to be everything was booked. You're trying to get 4 people now, then 3? And they were well,
not a chance.
Oh, you know what?
That's why people, when they're...
the one WestJet lady goes, she was, the first lady was so rude. I praised all the awesome WestJet people, and then the one I'm like, yeah, she was a bag. I called her a bag.
Oh my God, you sent an email to
No, it's through Twitter.
About somebody after all this?
It's through Twitter. No, it's because she was nice. And I said, hey, what happens, like, we have pictures of her passport, and we checked in, like, I think we need them, right? And she's like, yeah. She's like, you're going to have to go to United or Delta and get a flight to Buffalo and then drive across the border. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, we're going to get the passports. We don't and I said, and I don't think they're going to just let me mosey on over in a Cutlass. Anyway, I'm like, we're going to have to go to what do you go to the consulate and start doing the paperwork? I don't know. It was a mess. We're up against the clock again. Why do we do this? Now my blood pressure is just, we handled it awesome though. Teamwork makes the dream work. You judge people how they act in crisis. And it was crisis. We all got through. Roman made us hockey practice that night. I never thought we'd be laying in our own beds for 3 days. Who knows? We got to take a break. We're up against news. Darian Durant, who is down in Florida, will join us to start hour 3. It's the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com.
Something all drivers have in common? Your vehicle should have a winter inspection. Landry's Napa Auto Pro specializes in full-service inspections. With certified mechanics on site, they handle everything from minor repairs to major overhauls. When you take your vehicle to Landry's service, your car is in the right hands. And quality Napa batteries always have the best prices. Landry's Napa Auto Pro, located on North Winnipeg Street, serving Regina for over 50 years.
For everything hockey, head to Extreme Hockey and Sports. Spring hockey is around the corner. Get fitted to your specs with the best team at Extreme Hockey. Be sure to check out Umbrella Marketing and Tarrington and his team for all your team, corporate, and business needs. Corporate or work event? Check out our custom Yeti and engraving options. Make any occasion a special one. Extreme Hockey and Sport, 1425 McIntyre Street, and the Pro Shop conveniently located at the Cooperator Center.
620 CKRM and Dark Hall present the Great Canadian Road Trip 2.0, March 6th with Canadian Country Music Hall of Famer Jason McCoy.
I was born again in Dixieland.
CCMA Award winner Chad Brownlee.
Now I'm smoking the red.
CCMA award-winning hitmaker Jason Blaine.
That's like walking with a rock in my boots.
You don't want to miss Jason McCoy, Chad Brownlee, and Jason Blaine March 6th at Dark Hall. Tickets at the Dark Hall box office and at darkhall.ca.
This used to be our town. This used to be our town.
The Great Canadian Road Trip 2.0, proudly presented by Dark Hall and country's greatest hits, 620 CKRM.
It's grow time. Canada's Farm Show Regina, Saskatchewan, presented by Viterra, the premier event for farmers, agribusiness professionals, exhibitors, and sponsors, happening March 18th to 20th, 2025. As the kickoff to the seeding and growing season, this dynamic trade show blends cutting-edge exhibits, insightful and hands-on learning seminars, and entertainment. It's the ideal event to collaborate, innovate, and grow your business. March 18th to 20th at Real District. Canada's Farm Show, ReginaSK.com.
Sask Lotteries has 50 years of winning behind us. And you know what that means? Lots of winning numbers. Numbers like over 1,200 organizations funded and 12,000 plus groups supported. $6 million given away annually in community grants. And the winningest number of all? $1.4 billion given back to the people of Saskatchewan through sport, culture, and recreation. And we're just getting started. Help us grow the next 50. Learn more at sasklotteries.ca.
We are 620 CKRM Regina, a Harvard media station.
It's 5 o'clock. Good evening. It's mostly sunny and it's +1 in Regina. I'm Corey Atkinson from the sasktoday.ca newsroom with 620 CKRM News for Echo Sound in Fort Qu'Appelle. Stay connected with a new cell phone from Echo Sound. Call 306-332-6711. A major drug investigation has led to the arrest of 5 people. Police say the 4-month operation resulted in the seizure of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, cash, firearms, and vehicles. Officers searched multiple locations in Regina, Alameda, and Frobisher last week, finding 7.5 kilograms of fentanyl and nearly half a kilogram of cocaine. Regina Police Service Inspector Gary Giroux talked about the drug seizure in a media conference yesterday.
Those drugs obviously are very serious to the community. They cause death and bodily harm in our community and with our public.
The estimated value of those drugs is $1.5 million. Those arrested face several charges, including drug trafficking, possession of proceeds of crime, and involvement in organized crime. 2 of the accused played football with the University of Regina Rams last season. The investigation remains ongoing. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe says companies in his province play a critical role in North American food and energy security. Moe says the relationship between the province and the U.S. has mutual benefit, noting work is being done with key stakeholders, industry leaders, and government representatives on both sides of the border to build and protect economies. Moe is in Washington, D.C. this week, along with a delegation of Saskatchewan business leaders to push back on threatened U.S. tariffs. U.S. President Donald Trump told a news conference today that the tariffs are going forward on time, on schedule, despite the ongoing talks. Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly says the Canadian government will be ready.
So it is consistent with the executive orders he has signed, and we don't agree that the relationship is actually not a win-win. We think that actually the U.S. is benefiting greatly from our relationship, but at the same time, we will defend Canadian jobs. We will absolutely fight back.
Trump also promised tariffs on vehicles, on steel and aluminum, and on other goods. Joly says she's working with Canada's allies on a coordinated response. And Starbucks is getting ready for a large round of layoffs.
As the new CEO at Starbucks works to streamline operations, the company is getting ready to lay off over 1,000 corporate employees, according to an internal letter sent out. Notices will go to those impacted by midday Tuesday. The company saying it wants to run more efficiently and increase accountability. Starbucks has around 16,000 corporate employees. The layoffs will not impact roasting and warehouse staff or baristas in stores. Alex Stone, EBC News.
It's 5:03, and that's your 620 CKRM News. Read more stories from around your community and around the province at sasktoday.ca and 620ckrm.com. Your weather is next.
Oh, finally. There it is.
Whoa, did you order pizza?
No, even better. I called Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer.
Oh, so what'd you order?
Well, they have all the top-of-the-line smartphones with all the latest features and so many great plans, man.
Oh, nice.
Oh, it is the pizza guy. Hey, guy.
Tell him to go away. We're waiting on Echo Sound.
Echo Sound, your SaskTel authorized dealer in Fort Quipel. EchoSound.ca.
We'll still take the pizza, though.
It's been a long day. I don't want to cook. Oh, I'm going to surprise the family with a pizza night. Oh, I'll be a hero. My family might actually pick me up in celebration and carry me around the kitchen, and they'll chant my name, and I'll be celebrated until the end of time when I...
This isn't Western pizza. I thought you loved us.
Don't pizza fail. Get what they want. It's gotta be Western pizza. Big on toppings, big on taste.
And get it hot and get it fast. Western pizza.
I'm Corey Atkinson with your 620 CKRM Precision Weather Forecast, brought to you by Linex Regina. Serious protection, killer looks, 1865 McCarra Street. Now here's Precision Weather meteorologist Steve Adamson.
The weather pattern looks fairly quiet the majority of this week, and temperatures certainly not nearly as cold as they were last week. We're looking at things tonight, partly cloudy about the region with the low temperature around -7. Tuesday, turning mostly cloudy, the high temperature up to 1. Tuesday night, partly cloudy skies, the low near -9. Wednesday, a mostly sunny day, somewhat breezy, the high temperature around 1. Thursday, a mixture of sunshine and cloud cover, the high temperature reaching 3. And for Friday, our outlook is for sunshine to start, followed by increasing afternoon cloudiness with a high temperature around 1. With your 620 CKRM weather forecast, I'm Precision Weather Meteorologist Steve Adamson.
Across the province at this hour, Saskatoon is +1, Swift Current is +2, Assiniboia is +2, Broadview Moosomin +1, Yorkton Melville -2, Estevan +2, and Weyburn is also +2. At this hour in Moose Jaw, it's sunny. Winds are from the west at 17, and it's +3. Regina is mostly sunny. Winds are from the northwest at 8, and it's +1. For more local news that matters to you, subscribe to our daily newsletter at sasktoday.ca.
When you want the best for your truck, you want Line-X. Your truck has withstood the harshest elements Saskatchewan has thrown at it. Rocks, gravel, rain, sleet, and snow, and left with no chips, no rust. Line-X protective coating keeps your truck's bed liners, rocker panels, and bumpers looking like brand new. Don't settle for Brand X. Go with Line-X. It's serious protection. Come see why everybody loves taking their truck to Line-X Regina for their rocker panels, bumpers, and more. Line-X. Make your truck complete. 1865 McCarra Street.
Well, howdy, y'all. Wood Country Woody here. You ever been kissed by your mother-in-law? Brr, nothing chillier than that, except your house when the wind's out of the northwest. Fret not, my friend. It's John's Manville Insulation to the rescue from Wood Country. Insulation so good, even your mom-in-law will thaw a little. Get toasty. Save money. John's Manville Insulation from Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale, wood-country.com.
Broadcasting from Century Studios in downtown Regina, Harvard Media presents the all-new Sportscage, where Saskatchewan comes to talk local sports. Brought to you by Kellen Solar. 35 years of experience moving water from a dugout or well without electricity. Visit KELLNsolar.com to find out more for your livestock operation. Be a part of the show. Call 1-866-767-0620 or text 306-936-6262. The all-new Sportscage. Streaming at sportscage.com and on the radio at 620 CKRM.
Look at everybody driving home. +1 outside. A lot better ride home than last week. Maz, when you were filling in doing the show.
It like I said, I think last Tuesday the low was going to be -39, and with the wind chill it was going to be -52. And you're like, come on! At that point, it's like
I was actually listening to the show.
Break.
I was listening to the show that day, and we were just finishing golfing, and I was like, "Do you understand how cold it is at home right now?" To the boys. So, yeah, no, it's a lot better, and the long-term forecast, like we talked about, looks nice. Like the 14-day, even this week. We got 3, 2, 0, 1. Jokingly, we said in Maple Creek it'll be +20. Actually, Clayton, shout out on the Prairie Land Rentals text line. He goes, "Didn't you know Maple Creek is the Hawaii of Saskatchewan?" Like, yeah,
it is.
If you squint, yeah, it's it'll get warm, down there. If you missed any of the show so far, we had Justin Dunk on. We're going to rerun that here at the back half of hour 3, talking CFL with Dunk. We also had Les Lazaruk in hour 2. Always great to catch up with the voice of the Saskatoon Blades. We talk Western Hockey League. We talk Warman. Les has it in his contract to never broadcast a game from Warman again. They're going to have to fix the broadcast location when the Junior A team gets there, and I'm sure they will. It is an awesome facility for sure, and they're building another rink there. So Les was in hour 2 if you want to go. And then we have Darian Durant coming up in a bit. Locally, around the area tonight, hockey-wise, there's one big provincial senior game up in Kenniston, Saskatchewan. Game 2, Loreburn, Kenniston. Maz, you said you were looking at Coolbet, and Loreburn is plus 165, the underdog.
Plus 165. Yeah.
If you want to wait.
Bet 100 gets you 265 with a win.
There you go. Do it. Be a rebel. We've also talked a lot about Disney World and Disney World hacks today. We can maybe
you
get
could
into
have
that.
stayed at Darian. If you would have got trapped in Florida, you could have stayed at Darian's house.
He's 2.5 hours from Disney. I've already looked into that. It is time for Double Talk with Darian Durant. Harassment in the workplace. It's a big one these days. A lot of companies don't know how to handle it correctly. Do you know what to do? If not, call Campbell Safety Consulting, the new sponsor of Double Talk with Darian Durant. Darian, I was down in Florida. I got to tell you, I'm a West Coast guy. I like that dry heat, maybe even the desert. It's volatile. It's like going to Cancun or the Mile. Like you know when it rained the one day, and you have to have your head on a swivel. You got to know where you're going, what you're doing down there.
Yeah, these rain showers, man, they can come out of nowhere. It can just be a beautiful day, and then all of a sudden it just comes down and rains for 15 minutes just hard in one simple little spot, nowhere else, and it just so happens to be the spot that you're in. So the Florida weather is crazy, but I'll take it any day over that minus 39. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Well, that goes without saying. Do you like the humidity?
I don't. I hate humidity. It's just something about that, the humid air that just makes me break out in the sweat instantly. I would much rather take, that West Coast dry, 30, 35 degrees than, a very humid 25, 30 degrees any day.
My wife and I both have, and the kids, we have thick curly hair. So you know what humidity does to thick. I know both of you guys are follically challenged, but yeah, thick. It's not good. Okay, so here's the other thing, Darian. How old are your kids, Darian?
7, 5, and 3.
Okay, and Maz, have you guys heard of Raising Cane's?
Like the chicken finger place? Yeah.
Yeah.
All they serve is chicken fingers. They're awesome.
No,
that's it. That's all the whole
okay.
menu. Chicken fingers.
It's a hard okay. It's the sauce.
Yeah.
So Darian, I don't know. They've targeted the kids on TikTok and all these social media somehow, because it was like Disney World, okay, but right underneath Disney World, my daughter needed to go to Raising Cane to have these sauce and the chicken fingers. And then I'm starting to see all these other kids. Like they have targeted and created this brand where I don't even know how to explain it, and they're lined up like crazy.
See, I think they just take advantage of Raising Cane's only being in specific parts of the states, right? So if you're not from this area and you hear all this advertising about it, then all of a sudden you just have to try it, right? So they do a great job of just tapping into communities and people who are from areas where they've never heard of it, and they're just interested in, let's go to an area where Raising Cane's is. Let's go to Disney World. Let's just go try it, and they get you to buy into it, and then more times than not you're disappointed because, like you said, they're very mediocre. It's not anything that I've been once and I haven't been back. It's just not that good.
You know what's not mediocre, and we found it. It was literally a kilometer and a half from our resort, and as soon as I saw that sign, I was like, everything is off tomorrow. 11 o'clock, we are going to the Waffle House. If no one's ever been to a Waffle House, it sticks to your ribs. You basically can eat once. for the whole entire day. Isn't that right? What do you mean, Maz? What do you mean no?
Okay, so if there's in the world of diner-esque type things like Denny's, IHOP, Waffle House, like all of those style of restaurants, having eaten at those, I'm sorry, but Waffle House is going at the bottom. A, for the quality of food. And the other thing, too, is, and we're from Saskatchewan, it's not like we dine at 5-star Michelin restaurants, but sometimes Waffle House, Darian, you can probably attest, is a little bit of the Wild West as far as the crowd.
It depends on what area you're in, but there are some very clean, very good cooks at some Waffle Houses around the U.S., and it just depends on the one you get and the one you go to, because you can't see, that's the thing about Waffle House. You can't put them all in one category because it's just so different depending on the area you're in.
If people have never been to a Waffle House, it is a lot like the old Kresge's and Woolworths cafeteria meets a country kitchen, Maz, back in the day. You know, in Manitoba, they got the Salisbury houses. That's very close. All day breakfast. And you sit down, and it's funny because it's like you got to have the waffles are so good. And then my wife ordered something with a waffle. Son ordered something with a waffle. Daughter did. And they're like, Dad, you're not getting a waffle? And I'm like, watch how much waffle is left after everybody is done eating. And sure enough, I flew in there like a pigeon pecking away at the end of it all. It was, and the other one's Jersey Mike's. Like Jersey Mike's was across the street from our resort. Like game over.
Yeah, now that's legit. Now Jersey Mike's, it doesn't matter. That's legit, man. One of the best sub franchises out there. Seriously.
But on the Waffle House front, Darian, in Orlando, where it's kind of cool for tourists, that's one thing. But if you're just off the interstate and you just stayed the night at a Motel 6 because you're from Saskatchewan and that's what your parents think is a nice hotel, and the Waffle House is in the same parking lot, and the interstate is roaring by, that's the Waffle House I'm talking about, not the overpriced one in Orlando for tourists.
That's
like
the
Barney.
one that's the one you have to pass up. You don't stop at that one.
Yeah, well, no, we didn't because it's right next to the Motel 6 in Corsicana, Texas. All right?
Yeah.
Because we stay in motor lodges. We don't stay in anything that has an elevator.
You guys had a chance to chat last week about a number of things on the program. It's Darian Durant and a double talk with Darian for Campbell Safety Consulting. The one thing I wanted to talk about, and Justin Dunk and the 3 Down Nation crew came out with this, on what the new acquisitions for the Saskatchewan Roughriders are getting paid this year. And again, I'm no CFL GM. I don't know anyone that is, personally, that I have on speed dial. I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking there's some good value here. And the one that I want to start with the guys, and go to you, Darian, first, and then Maz to you. I was really curious on Tavon Campbell and what he would fetch. How much would he be worth? What would he want to play for? He's Canadian. He's from here. He's $153,000. And people are going to hear when we talk to Justin Dunk. We had an hour one. We're going to play it again. Justin Dunk goes to Ford. He was in the early 200,000s. Campbell comes at great value, Darian, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And I think, that's sort of a hometown discount. That's some familiarity there that, Tavon has with the organization and with J.O. And, I'm not sure how much information gets out there, but I'm sure that he has some incentive-based payments in that contract as well that'll take care of him and put him up there in the upper echelon of corners if he has that type of production. But as far as base salary goes, this is a steal, especially if he still has some of the juice. I mean, he hasn't been, injured, nothing major. And like I said, a couple weeks ago, he's always been fast, right? So I don't see him losing much speed. So if he can come in and he still has some juice left in the tank, I think this is a steal sign for J.O. and the Riders.
Darian, did you like when stuff, whether it was true or not, did you like when your salary would be published or when players' salaries would be out there? Does that make you uncomfortable? Like, would people bring that up in front of you, especially if things weren't going well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's just, I think you learn over time that it just comes with the territory. Me being a quarterback, it's a little bit different because, we would make if you look at it from the big pictures, we will make so much more than the other guys. So it's a little bit different for us. But, you get used to it, and, you try to go out there and make sure that you go and you produce on the field, because especially in a place like Saskatchewan, they'll let you know in the middle of the second quarter how much you're making. We don't pay you all of that for you to go out there and throw interceptions. So, but I mean, it just comes with the game, and that's how it is. And, especially with the nature of social media and how everything gets out nowadays, it just comes with the territory.
What would you guys, I'll go around the horn again, too. What would you guys have thought Jake Mayer was worth? First, Maz, let's go to you first.
Because of the garbage season that he had, I would have thought nobody would have paid him. Because I knew last year he wasn't getting starter money in Calgary. I figured, and after a bad year where he got blamed for everything, I was like maybe $120,000, which seems crazy low for a quarterback. But it seemed to fall off the cliff for him, where he was getting blamed for everything in Calgary, even bad attendance, which he has nothing to do with. So, I don't know, but he was sure a scapegoat, and I didn't think he would have much leverage.
Darian, what would you have thought he would have been worth after coming off what happened in Calgary and coming here, where we needed a guy like that, though, as a two?
Yeah. I think, the base salary for most veteran backup quarterbacks is somewhere between 150 and 175, somewhere there. And I'm sure his incentives, if he plays a certain amount of games or a certain amount of snaps, will put him in the 250, 300 range. So, I'm thinking I think standard backup veteran guy who has had some CFL production will be in the, 150, 175 range.
Have you, when you were playing, did you ever have the situation arise where somebody on your team, maybe it was you or maybe a teammate on your team, was close to a bonus and you guys you're either trying to get him to get that bonus or,
Oh, for sure. I mean, there have been plenty of times we're going into game 16 or 17 knowing that Getz may need 47 yards or, Alex Hall may need a sack or John Chick may need 1.5 sacks to hit an incentive. So we're always nudging the coach to, let this guy play or let's get the ball to these guys because they deserve their money. I mean, it's a bad thing when you get into that last game of the season and you're 10, 15 yards away from maybe a $10,000, $15,000 bonus. And it's just nerve-wracking. So, yeah, we would try to definitely go into the game and make that happen. And guys would talk about it in the locker room for sure.
The other thing is, Maz, you hear it in hockey once in a while where there's the coach that goes the other way and doesn't play the guy, or he needs the bonus. Did you ever see any of that, Darian, where you ran into one of those?
Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
no.
I've seen that as well, and I won't put any names on the head coach who did that, but it was definitely something that especially us veteran guys, we lost respect for the coach because of that. That's just something you don't do, especially as a coach, unless he's getting if he's getting, the word from up top, make sure this guy doesn't get it, or we can't go over the cap in this certain situation. But I don't think it's like, this is guys' livelihoods, man. And, trust me, we lost all respect for the coach who did that to one of our guys.
So in the last 45 seconds, Darian has inspired a lot of us in Rider Nation, including me, to Google all the head coaches he played for. And then by a process of elimination, we're going to have this figured out within about 90 seconds.
No.
So if somebody wants to text him.
I still have good relationships with all the coaches that I've played for.
Oh,
but,
okay.
there are situations where we're like, they're long lost sons, and so to speak. So we do get upset at coaches from time to time, but that was just something messed up that our so-called dad did at the time.
Aww.
That's
we're debunking the mysteries of the Riders of the past.
No, but it's
so remember the days where for a while there, the CFL teams and some of the richer ones could go down to Florida to that IMG Academy and kind of have like the off season, like the OD. Yeah. If it was a level playing field for continuity, for a better product on the field when the season started, would you be all in favor of teams being able to do that again, to kind of have that off-season mini camp to get together for 3 or 4 days just to start the process, so it doesn't just start in May when everybody shows up at the U of S or wherever training camp happens to be for whatever team they're playing for?
Absolutely. I think it's so helpful to get together with your guys, especially skill position guys, and get some reps in. You know, it's been since October, November since you've been able to get any quality reps with those guys. So to be able to do that in February, March, or April before training camp is very helpful. The only thing about going to Florida is just so expensive. You have to, you know, transfer equipment. You have to have injury waivers, insurance, things that have to all, you know, be in place. So it's not the easiest thing to do financially. But, you know, what I would like to see is, even if, you know, teams could rent out indoor facilities in their respective cities and just bring the guys in for a week or two during the off season, I think that could help as well. So because any extra reps you can get with your teammates, it helps. And sometimes you don't have the you know, the opportunity to get into training camp and learn a new system. So to do it earlier always is beneficial.
We got about 2 minutes. I don't know if you got another one. My last one, I want to ask you this one. Who was the player that, maybe like old school hockey, old school CFL days, that came to camp? Maybe we'll go this way. Who was the guy that came to camp always in like the best shape and put everyone to shame?
I just have to go with this guy, Rob Bagg, man. He just worked so hard all the time, and it didn't matter. It could be 3 days after the Grey Cup. He was just in the gym. He just always came to camp ready to go, in tip-top shape, never took a rep off. I mean, this guy is just in phenomenal condition. Even to this day, he's still in phenomenal shape. So Rob Bagg, he's the guy that we all looked at and said, man, we got to catch up with Rob, because a lot of us use training camp to get in shape, where Rob would come in ready to go.
It's like the old hockey players. I didn't do anything. Showed up.
Yeah.
So it's funny, on Friday we had a chance to talk to Trevor Harris, and he said that he switched up his diet routine, and he's on a mostly animal-based diet, and he hasn't had a vegetable since last year, only sweet potatoes, because he's trying this whole new thing. So he is like getting himself like super dialed in to be like... And I kept thinking after that, it was about 3 hours later, and we had Pizza Hut that night. And I was like, well, the kids are really enjoying this, and so am I, but I'm not a high-performance athlete. So you know what? I'm going to enjoy this Hawaiian slice and a few more, but I'm not an athlete, so I can do that.
Yeah. There's a lot more research coming out on this carnivore diet and the benefit that it has on athletes. I mean, you know, we're learning that we don't need as many carbs as we thought in the past. And like I said, there's a lot of research behind just meat-based diets. So I think I tried it for a while, about a year or two ago, and I had phenomenal results. So I think Trevor will benefit from it for sure.
After my Waffle House, Raising Cane's, back-to-back Jersey Mikes, I might need to do that. Darian, always great to catch up and chat with you. We'll do it again next Monday.
Sounds good. Take care, guys.
Right on. That is our quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Darian Durant, and it's brought to you by Campbell Safety Consulting. Does your place have a proper safety program? If not, call Campbell Safety Consulting. Quick break. We'll be back in a bit. It is the Sports Cage, streaming at sportscage.com. You're an idiot.
Your Saskatchewan Co-op Ag teams are your trusted partners to support your entire farm operation. And we're giving back to our community. Since 2017, Co-op has invested $468 million in Saskatchewan through building, upgrading, and expanding local facilities. And we've returned $418 million to Co-op members. Co-op, we're building something for the future. Here for your farm, here for your family. Learn more at coop.crs/farm.
Something all drivers have in common? Your vehicle should have a winter inspection. Landry's Napa Auto Pro specializes in full-service inspections. With certified mechanics on site, they handle everything from minor repairs to major overhauls. When you take your vehicle to Landry's service, your car is in the right hands. And quality Napa batteries always have the best prices. Landry's Napa Auto Pro, located on North Winnipeg Street, serving Regina for over 50 years.
Well, howdy, y'all. Wood Country Woody here. You ever been kissed by your mother-in-law? Brr, nothing chillier than that. Except your house when the wind's out of the northwest. Fret not, my friend. It's John's Manville Insulation to the rescue from Wood Country. Insulation so good, even your mom-in-law will thaw a little. Get toasty. Save money. John's Manville Insulation from Wood Country.
Your home is your castle.
In McLean, Estevan, and Tisdale. Wood-country.com.
The love of the game is in the air at the Brandt Center with the chance to catch your Regina Pats at special events all month long. Experience cultural pride at the George Gordon Development Indigenous Celebration on February 7th. Grab the last of 6 collectible cups at Wednesday giveaway night on the 19th. Get your new Pats hockey cards at First Responders Awareness Night on February 22nd and pink the rink to stand up to bullying to end the month on February 28th.
Go, Pats, go!
See the full promotional lineup and get your tickets at reginapats.com.
The all-new Sportscage continues. You can watch our live stream at sportscage.com and always on the radio. Saskatchewan's voice for local sports, 620 CKRM.
It is for our friends at Kellen Solar, based in Lumsden, Saskatchewan, which the arena in Lumsden was a rockin' yesterday as the Lumsden Monarchs, also known as the Beach Boys, they took down the Raymore Rockets in Game 1 of their Provincial A Series 6-2. Shifts back to the launch pad in Raymore Friday night. And it is Kellen Solar installing solar in residential and commercial buildings for over 35 years. Local and trusted Kellen Solar. You can visit them at kellensolar.com. What did we have? Someone that texted in the Prairie Land Rentals text line a while ago when I said that the shots, Lumsden outshot Raymore really bad. And they said, Lumsden's never been outshot in their rink. Wink, wink. Love it. So speaking of Darian, when we were talking to Darian there, and he talked about the people in Saskatchewan will let you hear it if you're not playing well, and they know what you're getting paid. That is senior hockey to a T as well. You do not want to be the guy getting sticks and gas that everyone knows is getting big sticks and gas. And at this time of the year, which is playoffs and provincials, you're laying an egg. You are going to hear it. It's going to be an awkward walk through the lobby to go home.
Oh, so if you're -3 and you've got 0 points in the last 5 games, someone's going to know that you're a bit of a bum.
Yeah, that you can't get out of town fast enough. Hockey tonight in Kenaston, Game 2, Lorburn, Kenaston. We are going to talk more as tomorrow's SJHL report for Southie Mainline Chrysler. Really curious to get Benny Walchuk's take on the Melville Millionaires. 9 straight wins? Is that what it was? Jeez.
Yeah, they're 9-1 in the last 10. And it's funny, you said they may not catch anybody, but for them to be peaking at the right time, heading into the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great. Like I said, points-wise, they're probably not going to catch Yorkton. But it doesn't hurt playing your best hockey going into the playoffs.
They're a buzzsaw. And they were one of the teams that dealt with the they got the bum steer. Does anyone ever say bum steer anymore? When one of their players got nipped by the BC League. He was their leading scorer. Remember that? And he took off to the...
See, and that's the part about... And Sharky and I got into this last week. And Sharky had said, like, this whole NCAA thing, for what we thought it started as, the ripple effect that it's going to have, and it's funny, like Penticton's joining the Western Hockey League because their monopoly on players, that's all crumbling and the world's changing. And like, I didn't realize that was a thing, that the Gavin McKenna could, if someone offered him $1.5 million to go to play college hockey, why wouldn't you? You're going to end up in the NHL anyways.
The only thing, and Ryan Pollock and I have talked about this, that if you read up NIL money in the States and Canadians, because it's the more the basketball players that have been doing it, it is not easy to make money as a Canadian at these universities. So like the $1.5 million, there would have to be some shady things being done or rewritten rules because, and don't quote me out there, please, just going off what I read many brain cells ago, was, and if it's on campus, like jerseys, things like that, you can get paid for it in the States. Other than that, you have to come up to Canada. And that's why in Ontario, a lot of these university basketball programs that have Canadian players on them, they come up and they play some exhibition games in Ontario. I'm sure they do it in BC or whatever. So then now, because it's in Canada, you can kick a little lettuce to your Canadian athletes. But Gavin McKenna, as it stands right now, like Gavin McKenna doesn't, as a Canadian, he just can't Michael Bolton to the States show up and get $1.5 million. There'd have to be strings pulled, loopholes, all that.
But if there is anybody or any organization that has operated this way for the past probably as long as they've been around, would be the NCAA. As we know how to do that. You leave that to us. Don't worry. Where do you want that money wired to? Like Johnny Manziel said, every school has a bag man. Every school has a bag man, whether they want to deny it or not. That's why we'll have to ask Darian sometime, because his brother, who went and played, because he played in Carolina. Where did his brother play? Because Darian's brother played in the NFL for 12 years. Where did he go to college? I want to know. I
can't remember where his brother played.
But I want to ask, and maybe enough time has passed or statute of limitations where a lot of these guys are saying, yeah, like here's what we got. It's not obviously nothing like they're getting now, but it's always been around. So I wouldn't put it past, especially if you're a powerhouse hockey school.
Yeah. Also, speaking of powerhouses, it was our clutch performer for Nick's service a little while ago, Rachel Holman. And let's not kid ourselves. We're not curling experts here, but we follow the game. We love the championships. How can you not be impressed with what she's done? 22 straight wins in the Scotties. She hasn't lost.
So she's the Tom Brady of curling. Now, whether or not you like Tom Brady or not, you have to respect, at this point, she's in rarefied air. And I don't know anybody that's coming along. Because even in Ireson, who is probably her closest competition, even when it mattered most yesterday, and Ireson missed a couple of shots, and then Holman was just bang on and just didn't miss, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
So world championships for her, but then she's going to have to try and play next year to win her way in as the Canadian representative for the Team Canada for the Olympics.
And she's already guaranteed a berth into that from last year. Yeah, so it's what are you saying? You just send her? 5-time Tournament of Hearts champ, hasn't lost in 22 at Tournament of Hearts. You just send her? That's tough.
I would, because somebody that doesn't, maybe they play the game of their life and they end up beating her, but can't handle the pressure of like the Olympics, the big stage.
Where are the Olympic trials being held? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of marketing money. That's a lot of money rolling into a community. There's no way they're not, because they know they're going to host it, like you said, someplace where people will easily borrow you $5.
So Sharky and I talked about this. Here's the problem with the Scotties Tournament of Hearts. There's 18 teams involved now, and only 6 make the playoffs. That's a travesty. That's a crime.
You guys, I heard that.
If you put 10 in, if this is about money and business, you charge more for the playoff tickets. Okay, that's just what they do. Mm-hmm. You have more playoffs, you charge more money, and it means more. As opposed to only 6 getting in, they need to rework that. And with the Briers starting this weekend, I'm assuming the Briers the exact same thing. More teams than ever before, multiple teams from provinces and stuff like that.
Well, the Brier right around the corner. Chance to sprinkle. It's already on Coolbet. I saw it. Let's take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk CFL football with Justin Dunk from Hour 1. If you missed it, it is the Sports Cage. We are streaming on Twitter and at sportscage.com.
CoolBet has all the hot games. For all the free-to-play casino games, head to coolbet.co. They've got sports odds, including Saskatchewan senior hockey, plus all the sports odds you can think of. From the ice to the field to the court, CoolBet has you covered. All at your fingertips. No risk, just thrill. So why wait? Get in the game and embrace the unexpected at coolbet.co.
My record-breaking Eras tour is wrapped. I think it's time to start my eyewear era. Could use a new pair.
You're in luck, Tay. Future Vision's in their 2-for-1 eyewear sale era. Right now, we can get the latest, hottest styles at a great price and get the second pair free. Let's head back to Saskatch. 2 pairs for you, 2 pairs for me.
We'll never be out of style.
Future Vision. Where'd you get those? All right now. Future Vision's a proud recipient of the Consumer's Choice Award 2024.
Something all drivers have in common? Your vehicle should have a winter inspection. Landry's Napa Auto Pro specializes in full service inspections.